Hello and welcome to episode 31 of the Gamers of the Lost Spark podcast. I'm your host, Darren Whittam, and joining me as always is the other spark on the podcast, crawling out from his pile of Christmas prezzies, Antony Chesson.
Oh, I had a good stash it was too. Hello sir, how you doing?
I'm alright, I'm okay. How are you? Have you lived through Christmas well? Have you enjoyed yourself? Have you survived the festive time?
I have indeed. Jeans are a little bit tighter, t-shirts are a little bit snugger, but I'm good. How about you? Did you have a good one?
Yeah, tiring. I've never been so tired. But it's been really good. I love Christmas. I think it's great. I love it. You know, Christmas morning, presents around the tree, and it's like that's it for me. I love it. And then I get a little bit sad when the last present has been unwrapped. Then it's like, it's all over.
Yeah, you got to wait until your birthday then. I'm always like, I think I said that on Boxing Day. I was like, not long till my birthday.
When is your birthday? I've forgotten.
February.
Oh, that's not bad, is it?
No. It's only a couple of months. It was quite funny because, like, Nicola said to me, she said, like, do not, because I'm famous kind of in the family for waking people up ridiculously early on Christmas morning because I get quite excited. And Nicola said to me, she goes, do not wake me up until at least 8 o'clock.
8? Oh,
yeah. So I was just sitting there like, made her a cup of tea. I was sitting there like kind of waiting to kind of wake her up. And then when 8 o'clock came, at the strike of 8, I kind of, bounced back into the room and I was like, it's Christmas.
Wake up. Brilliant.
So I did that. What about Sam? What time was Sam up?
He just woke up later than us. I've been lying awake since 6 a.m.
Yeah,
waiting, and he didn't wake up till about 7.
Wow.
So we'd been awake for an hour, just like waiting for him to wake up, but he didn't. He's maybe a little bit too small for the full excitement to wake him up.
Yes.
So that was a shame. So I was like going, oh no, can't he wake up? But I didn't want to go and wake him up. So I just left him, but yeah, I always get so excited. I'm quite spaced out with my birthday. It's almost perfect because it's the end of May.
Oh, right.
So it's sort of like 6 months, 6 months. Not that it matters so much when you're older.
That's quite good. You get 6 months wait, and then you kind of, it's like a friend of mine, Darren, his birthday is, another Darren, his birthday is Christmas Eve.
Oh, wow.
And it's almost like present after present, really, for him for 2 days, but he has to kind of wait all the way around to Christmas Eve again.
Yeah, for the double bubble, because Sam's birthday's New Year's Day.
Of course, yeah.
So he sort of gets, it's like just a week of presents. So at the moment, he's quite little. I think he gets sick of it. He's just like, oh, not another present. Sort of thing.
I was going to say it must be hard because like kids their age, they kind of get lots of stuff, don't they? And then they kind of, like you say, they always get present fatigue, and then they get another lot of presents coming in. What Sam does, that's just... yeah.
Last year he abandoned his presents on Christmas morning. He got bored. He got so fed up. But he was smaller, so we kept some and we gave him again this year. But this year he got through them all. So I was like, oh yes, he's getting there. I think the earliest I ever got up, the most excited I've been, that I can remember, was when I got my American import GameCube.
Oh, wow.
And I was so excited because I put it away and it was packed there, and it had Rogue Leader with it and Super Monkey Ball. And yeah, I was like awake at 4:30 and I got up at 5 and Claire was like, nope, I'm not getting up. She was like, I think she said 6. I had to wait till 6. So I got up and I just didn't know what to do with myself, but I could not sleep. So I went and watched TV and I watched The Plank, which is some vintage comedy, a silent comedy from like the 60s or something with like Norman Wisdom or something. Wow. And this like program was, and then I just had to watch it because there's nothing else on. I just sat watching this pretty rubbish film and just like watching the seconds on the clock, and then 6 o'clock came and I was like, get up, and unwrapped it and put Roll Leader on, and that was fantastic. Loved it.
Oh, fantastic. That was kind of, I guess, before the days of patching, so you could play it straight away, couldn't you?
Yeah.
Because I remember, I think it might have been last year or the year before, my nephew got a Wii U for Christmas. And then so we kind of put it on. I went over to their house and he showed me his Wii U and I was like, do you want me to set it up? So we set it up, and then it had this like ginormous patch that I had to download, kind of day one patch on the Wii U. And we spent hours just like listening to that kind of diddle music, and then we were kind of like watching it. I think we all went and had dinner and then came back and it was just finishing or something like that. And it was just like,
it's painful.
That must be awesome.
I liked the best thing about the Wii U I found with regard to waiting for updates was the save transfer of your saves from the Wii. Did you ever do that? Did you transfer your saves over from the Wii to the Wii U?
No, I don't think I did.
So I think you downloaded an app. It's been ages since I did it, but you downloaded an app on the Wii.
Yeah.
I think, and basically imported everything onto your memory card, and then you took your memory card to your Wii U, and I think it either was compatible or something, or it saved it to the cloud. And anyway, when it did it, it showed loads of Pikmin carrying. So it chops up all your saves into like memory bits. That were a graphical representation of like little chunks, and the Pikmin all grabbed them and they were carrying them along down the stairs, and like it was as if they were going through the insides of the Wii, and they were carrying and then storing them, and then you went onto your Wii U, and it's like they got them all out and were carrying them along and up the steps and around the circuit board and putting them into the Wii U, and it was really cool. Still took a while.
That's really awesome. I like that.
Yeah, it was a nice touch. Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah, talking about waiting for updates, right? I got Until Dawn for Christmas.
Right.
I got Until Dawn, Rise of the Tomb Raider, and Bayonetta 2. Bayonetta 2 is a surprise. I've always wanted to play that. And I haven't played any of them because I haven't had the time to play them because I was too busy, being family Christmas boy. And none of them are appropriate for Sam. So I can't play any of these when he's up. So it's really restricted me getting onto them. Because by the time he's gone to bed, he's been having some late nights. I've been tired. So I didn't want to just start a game, so I've been like waiting until I've been refreshed. But anyway, the night was the day before yesterday. What's that? Well, whatever day that was. It's Wednesday today. Monday night, I had a few people in the family over and I had a few drinks. And I thought, I know, we can play Until Dawn. I'll show them this and we can all decide together about the decisions. And it might be good. I mean, I've not played it, so it might not have been a good idea anyway. But I put the disc in and it had a 10 gig update.
Wow.
I know I should have known better. I probably should have put them all in when I got them, so I was ready. But I had no idea there was a massive update for Until Dawn like that. 10 gig. There must have been a bottleneck on the PlayStation network as well, because it came up as 39 hours wait. I mean, I've got like 15 meg download.
Yeah.
10 gig should probably take, still an inconvenient, probably like 2 or 3 hours.
Yes, yeah.
But it was there at like 39 hours. So I was like, you what? You're joking. And it did finish sometime that evening, but by the time it finished, I wasn't interested in playing it anymore. And I was just like, that's a sign of the times that I don't like. I mean, it's great that updates can transform a UI on your console and add improvements and make all the changes, for instance, that Xbox have done with Xbox One. Like we discussed in a previous podcast where the original Xbox experience was changed to that new Xbox experience, and how amazing that was. That's probably my favourite UI. So that's the great part of it. But when you're excited and you want to play a game really quick, it's bad to get hit by an update. And it's the same when you unwrap a console, like you were saying, for Christmas, and you pop it on and you got a massive update. But I suppose at least a massive update's not quite as bad as last Christmas, if it was last Christmas, when Lizard Squad attacked, and then you couldn't even get your update, which rendered your console useless until the DDoS attack had finished. That's the worst of the worst.
But that 10 gig, that's quite a hefty patch, isn't it? It's a shame it doesn't allow you just to start playing, in that kind of buggy state.
Yeah,
almost.
I think I could have done. And it says like it should sign you out or something if you do that.
Yes, yeah. But just allow you just to continue playing whilst it's kind of downloading that. And so I guess by the time it downloaded, you'd had enough drink that the only appropriate game at that point was Rock Band.
You know me so well. Yeah. Yeah, it was a real shame because it's just too late by the time I remembered about Until Dawn again. And then I was just too tired and went to bed. But I need to have a look at the notes to find out because I haven't done that yet. I don't know what that 10 gig gave me. Because I know with the day one edition of Until Dawn, I'm sure it included a DLC, which is a little bit of an extra level. So I don't know whether I got that automatically or not. So I'll have a look. So I'm looking forward to playing those.
So you got quite a nice spread then as your Christmas presents. You got Until Dawn, PlayStation 4, Rise of the Tomb Raider, that was on Xbox One, and then Bayonetta 2 was Wii U. So you got kind of one for each of your consoles.
An exclusive for every system.
Yeah, you got a nice spread.
Well,
I like it.
Yeah, it's a good spread. And I bought Undertale, as I mentioned last week, so I've got a PC game.
Yeah, there's your PC check. Wow, you are just kind of across the board there, sir.
Yeah, I wish I could spread myself across the board. I just haven't got... I really want to play these games. I'm probably going to make a start on something tonight.
Right.
Until Dawn, I think.
Yeah, well, that'd be fantastic. I'd be interested to see what you think of that game, because there has been a thing on PlayStation Network at the moment, that you can buy one and get one free. There's a bit of a promotion on at the moment where you can buy one game and get one free. I think it's still going until maybe tomorrow, maybe the day after, and I'm very tempted to, if there was another one, then Until Dawn would definitely be a contender there, or to see what happens. Kind of, there hasn't been that many. Normally you get a lot of sales from Boxing Day on Amazon and things like that, but I haven't noticed Until Dawn kind of popping up on any of those yet.
No, and I've noticed it's got some good press, and I've seen it as a contender as Game of the Year on some sites. So
yeah,
people are enjoying that sort of heavy rain done right aspect of it, I suppose.
Yeah, so I think I'm listening to the Giant Bomb cast, their Game of the Year at the moment, and that's quite a hefty listen. And they were talking about Until Dawn with the graphics, with the kind of they said that the pause scenes or the loading scenes and the facial animations are just incredible. At some point are realistic, photorealistic. So I'll be interested to see what you say maybe next week.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah, I'm going to play some Until Dawn, and it's not a big game. It's designed to be a quick playthrough, really, as far as I'm aware.
Right.
And then you can sort of play it more. So there's lots of replay value in it because you've got your group of people, you're like your angsty teens that go off to, I think it's like a cabin in the woods thing. And there's all different scenarios. They can all die, or you can or they can all survive, or anything in between.
Right.
Down to the decisions you make. So it'll be interesting. But the first playthrough, I think, will be the best. I don't know. I'll probably try and save them all because that's just the way I play games. That for me, that would be the true ending. But I don't know. You see, from what I've read, maybe some of the characters are really horrible and you want to get rid of them. I don't know.
Yes. Yeah, but there sounds like there are a couple of douchebags in there, so you might want to off those right at the start.
Yeah, I get the impression it's a bit like you're sort of God or the director of the film, but obviously more intimate than just the director. It's like you're playing God with the story.
Right.
And so you're like watching this play out, these humans going through this traumatic experience, and you get to, decide what's going to happen and put obstacles in their way or try and remove obstacles as you see fit. So, yeah, it's just an interesting game and something a bit different than plodding along in an FPS view, which I've done quite a lot of.
Yes, absolutely. So what else have you been playing?
Well, this is the thing. I haven't really played much. I've been playing Fallout. I'm a bit fed up with the bit I'm on because there's a bit of the game, and this might be me just being a bit rubbish, but you've got to find. I think I mentioned this before. You've got to find something, and you've got to find. It's called Follow the Trail or something, and you've got to find this trail that's not marked on the map, which I like that because I don't like following markers all the time. But I started following it, and I kept losing the path. And in the end, I think it's also because I was thinking, I just want to find the end of this path so I can do the mission. I just want to do the blooming mission at the end of it, for goodness sake, because it's a main story mission. And I keep losing the path, and I'm trying to rush, and it's not happening because I'm trying to rush. I keep missing where it's going. And I turned it off in a little sulk. I was like, I can't be doing with it. I ain't got the time. I need to play something else. So Fallout 4, that's where I'm up to. Bit of Star Wars, we talked about that at length. And then it's just a waiting play, really. I've got this little backlog now of Until Dawn, Tomb Raider, Bayonetta 2. And Undertale, and I want to play them all.
So do you think you'll park Fallout for a while then and then go on to those other games, or are you just going to,
I don't know,
kind of juggle it?
Until Dawn is a small game.
Yeah.
So I can play that, I think, in tandem. And Bayonetta 2 is a nice contrast, so I can play that in tandem. Tomb Raider I'd like to dedicate to as sort of a game that I'd play something else in tandem with, something smaller. So I don't know what to do because I don't want to. I sort of fear that if I drop Fallout 4, that'll be it.
Right.
And
that you'll never go back.
I'll never go back because there's stuff coming, isn't there? At least Uncharted 4, isn't for a while.
Yeah, you got a bit of a wait there for Uncharted 4. But like you say, there are some other stuff. We were talking last week.
Mirror's Edge is in February, isn't it?
No, Mirror's Edge has now been moved back, hasn't it?
Can't remember.
So we've got Banner Saga, and we've also got Firewatch as well. So we've got a couple of those that are coming. So there's lots of things on the way. So it might be worthwhile trying to stick with Fallout and then kind of get that kind of done. Because like you say, you just won't go back, will you?
I do feel a bit pressured to get through games these days. What do you feel that you're getting so many? And it's like, I need to play them. I need to get through them. I'm feeling like a bit of a weight of having to play them.
Well, I guess I do. Yeah, I guess, it's quite interesting because I have gone back to kind of one of the games that I was talking about it in last week's podcast, but Nicola's Christmas game was Witcher 3, so I'm playing Witcher as well. Now, I've played some other games this week, but I'm kind of back to Witcher 3, and I'm quite enjoying that. But I'm still kind of like you. I'm very aware that I've got Metal Gear Solid and Fallout 4 both sitting there kind of unplayed, and we've got things like those two. I was talking about Banner Saga, Firewatch, Lego Marvel Avengers is coming. The Division is coming in March. So there is, you're right. There is a bit of a pressure because I do want to finish these games. I don't want to leave them unfinished, even if by finishing is just kind of getting through the story mode. That's what I've done with Tomb Raider. I've kind of just finished the story on Tomb Raider, but there's still a lot more in that box for me to play with. But you're right. You finish that, the credits roll, and instantly you're just kind of jumping. You want to jump onto the next game because as you say, there is kind of a bit of pressure.
Yeah, and I think ever since starting the old podcast, I think there's that pressure there as well because I'm always thinking, I'm too long on this game. Like Fallout 4's been on my list for a few weeks now, and I sort of think it's a bit stale to talk about because I've sort of talked about everything I can about it, and it's like I've got to get onto the new thing. But the gamer in me doesn't really flip from a game till I've completed it. So it's like, come on, Daz, you're taking too long. But then that's a choice thing because I've been moping around not moping around, but wandering the wastelands of Fallout 4. Enjoying myself but not really doing the main story. I think it's the game I've played most. I put the most hours into it, and I don't know how or why. I can't put my finger on how or why, but it sucked the time out of me like no other game. I remember the first time I reported on it and I'd played it for something like 24 hours. I was staggered that I'd already played it for that amount of time, when other games, like I think I finished The Witcher in 31 and that felt like forever. Yeah, I must have played Fallout now for, I don't even know, but I bet it's 60. Yeah, the only game to rival that for me is Dark Souls. So it's scary. Dark Souls was like 102 hours or something, and it might have been more because I think I went on to do New Game Plus. But
wow,
that is rare for me because usually I just complete a game and that's it. And usually I'm more hooked by the main quest. But there's something about Fallout that I just enjoy the wandering around.
I mean, I wouldn't worry too much about kind of being stale on the podcast because if you think about it, because Fallout 4 is such a ginormous game, anyone who's listening who's playing Fallout at the same time is probably going through those same experiences with you. So it's probably a really good kind of sounding block that what they're doing is right, and they're kind of, and it's almost like you're sharing the experience with those guys. So I think with these ginormous games, I don't think it kind of matters about how many weeks you talk about them because it's not like you're doing the same thing over and over again. You are kind of progressing through this vast and incredible game. So people, I definitely, it's quite interesting when you start talking about it. And same with Witcher, when I went off on to do my Arkham Knight stuff and you were on Witcher, it was really interesting kind of hearing what you were saying and what you were doing.
Yeah, the value that you get from these types of games is phenomenal these days because it does. Open world is absolutely correct. It's completely open, and you could just spend hours and hours just wandering around, taking in the scenery, especially on The Witcher 3, and just enjoying the immersion of being in that world. And they're beautiful worlds to explore. Witcher more obviously beautiful than Fallout with its sort of post-apocalyptic wasteland. But it's amazing value for money when you think about cost per hours. When you think about how much it would be, say, to go and see a movie, I spent about 50 quid on Star Wars going to see it umpteen times. And that's, probably spent 5 hours, or 7 hours watching Star Wars, and it's cost me like that amount. Whereas Fallout 4 or like Dark Souls, Dark Souls 40 quid game and spent 100 odd hours in it. It's good value.
Absolutely, your kind of pound for time is always good value when you're gaming, and that's why there was a study that said that, you know, the kind of gaming was on the up because of that. You know, when kind of it was a little bit tighter, when we had a recession in the UK last year or the year before, you know, people were turning to video games because they did give you, as you say, they give you more bang for your buck, didn't they? You know, where a movie is over in 2 hours, you know, obviously there's the rewatchability, but a game you can just get immersed in on a Saturday night or something. So, but you know, as I say, you know, you can't underestimate the power of someone else kind of playing a game alongside of you. I mean, well, like I say, I'm playing Witcher with Nicola, and it's great because every now and then she'll pause it and she'll like, right, what's this? How am I doing this? And the same with me. You know, she's now way ahead in the story than I am, and I kind of got to Velen last night, and I was just asking her, kind of, okay, what shall I do now? You know, she's like, well, go round to every single one of those notice boards, you know, pick up the bounties, do all of that. And she was really giving me some tips and tricks, and I think that's kind of what you've been doing as well for people with Fallout.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, even more than that in Fallout, I don't even care about the side quests, you know, from the notice boards and things. It's more just seeing something and going and exploring it.
Yeah,
and it's just like, oh, what's over there, and then what's over there, and then the loot sort of grabs you a bit like Borderlands or Diablo. It's like, what am I going to find? I think James mentioned it when he's talking about the legendary enemies, and they all have a special weapon. That's got an extra perk on it, and it's just like very interesting, and it lures you in to go in and try and get these. But I always find it a bit of an anticlimax because I always get rubbish perks. Like I got a gun that's like better between, I don't know, midnight and 6 a.m. or something. It's like more powerful at night, but I don't really care about that because I prefer to go around in the day because I like to appreciate the graphics. I hate nighttime games. I used to hate Doom. I think it was Doom 3 that looked really fantastic, but it was all dark, kind of just to show off the lighting techniques. And I was like, yeah, your lighting's amazing, but I'd rather just see the game. And like on Ocarina of Time, I always used to, whenever it went to night time, I always used to play my Ocarina to make it daytime again as soon as I learnt that tune. Right. So I always like games in the light. Maybe that's why I haven't played much Batman.
Yeah.
Because that's a bit dark, isn't it?
It really is. It's all night. You know, there is no daytime in Arkham Knight.
So, what have you been playing?
Well, I've been playing Arkham Knight. As I was saying last week, we had the Season of Infamy DLC dropped, which was that last piece of DLC for the Season Pass. You know, Rocksteady have hinted that maybe this isn't the last piece of DLC.
You don't say.
For Arkham Knight, but it was the last piece, and it was very good. You know, it gave us 4 new villains, so I've done that. I've got through those. I also noticed that I had some extras as well. There was a couple of extra kind of little mini missions as well. One of them was Robin taking down Two-Face and things like that. So that's quite cool. It's quite interesting now when I look at my percentage complete on Arkham Knight. It's now up to something like 107, 108% now.
Wow.
So I'm giving it. I'm going to try and give it that 110%.
I like you always doing everything.
So it's really cool. You know, I've got the Christian Bale outfit. I've got, you know, I'm kind of gone back to Batfleck though, rather than Bale. And I'm just, you know, as I have all year, you know, I'm just absolutely loving Arkham Knight. So kind of done that, and then after that, I then started looking at my backlog. So
have you done it? Have you done Arkham Knight now? Is that done?
So Arkham Knight is done.
Wow.
Arkham Knight is done. I've done Season of Infamy. I've done the extras. They're all done. So that's kind of unless Rocksteady do bring out some more content for Arkham Knight, I'm done with that game.
Wow, well done, mate. You've put a lot of hours into that.
I really have, and I've loved every minute of it. So that's that kind of done. So I started looking at my backlog. Call of Duty Black Ops 3 was in my backlog, so I wanted to go through that because I wanted to get that back to game. Normally I'm a lot quicker on kind of the turnaround to get that back to game to trade it in.
Yeah.
But I'm still going through the kind of bonkers campaign that is Black Ops 3. Enjoying it, you know, it looks incredible. You know, there's some really good set pieces, as with any kind of Black Ops game. I haven't finished it yet. I'm about kind of 2 or 3 missions. Looking at the achievements, I'm about 2 or 3 missions left to go on that. But I was actually playing it just before we started the pod. I was playing it. I'm going to kind of try and finish that off this evening.
Yeah, you know, games like that, totally enjoyable. And not too long, you know, so you don't have to stress, really. You're going to get through it. I'd be interested to hear when you finish it. Apparently there's a weird new game plus that they they sort of tried to take a different sort of angle on things, and the developers have sort of put this new game plus in that says, look, this is how the game could be different, but without really changing much. And I think they changed the story or something like that, just by, I think they either leave everything exactly the same and just change some of the dialogue, and it gives you a whole different slant on the story. I think it might be even more bonkers than it is at the moment. But yeah, when it first came out, I read a few reviews and they said, yeah, this new game plus, they sort of gave a bit of credit to the developer for it's Treyarch, isn't it, for Black Ops?
Yes.
And they said, yeah, this is a really good idea, and you can tell that they're a little bit tongue-in-cheek and a little bit saying, look, this is an interesting thing to think about. You know, so they know that it's a bit bonkers and everything, but they're saying, look what you can do just by changing a few little things. And I was like, oh, that'd be really interesting to play. But yeah, I never got Black Ops 3. But yeah, if you complete it, I assume it'll be flagged up in the menu screen or something. So it'd be interesting to have a look at.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll give that a try. Hopefully I'll get that completed this evening, and I'll give that a little bit of a try. I mean, no rush to take it back. I think I've kind of missed the kind of high price on that, I think, because they might have had it in a sale. So I might even give that New Game Plus a try. So I've been trying that. For Christmas, I got a whole bunch of Disney Infinity 3.0. Got some Star Wars stuff for Disney Infinity,
wow,
cool. Which was great fun. So that's all. It's the one I've got. I've got the kind of a New Hope set. So it's called In the Shadow of the Empire, and it takes you through kind of Star Wars, like A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi. So I've got kind of, you know, Han Solo and Chewbacca and Princess Leia and Luke Skywalker as my Infinity figures, and you know, it's great fun. You know, it's just really good. You know, and it's just that kind of very kind of my first RPG kind of fun, but it's just something where I was listening to some podcasts and I was just playing Disney Infinity, and that kept me happy for an entire day. So that was quite cool. And then the main kind of crux of when Nicola and I have been gaming has been The Witcher 3, which I'm absolutely loving, you know, and I'm so glad that I started it again. You know, kind of running it alongside Nicola's game, so I started it again, and also that I'm back into The Witcher 3, because I would have missed out on something very special, because I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah, it's a beautiful game. I enjoyed it immensely. Yeah, I'm a bit jealous. I'm a bit jealous, you know, because you're there fresh into it with all the updates. You know, yes. You're on the perfect version. Yeah, and it's just good, and it's not as if it's dated or anything already or anything. It's still going to look amazing, and such a nice contrast, I think, to say Arkham Knight that you've also put your time into, and instead of the sort of bleak and the dark of Arkham Knight, when it's daytime in The Witcher, you know, you've got all those beautiful sunlit forests to explore and sunsets to witness to highlight your adventure.
So it's quite funny because, like I say, Nicola and I are playing it on two different TVs, and occasionally we just kind of like go, look at this, and we're showing each other that, you know, like Nicola was on top of a mountain last night, and the sun was setting, and she was like, look at this, and we're just kind of sitting there, kind of showing each other these vistas and enjoying it. But I have to say, you know, it's amazing when the sun's rising, when the sun's setting, but also at night, you know, we get some, if you kind of get near water and the moon is kind of cast on the water, it's just incredible. You know, it really is an amazing looking game.
Yeah, and I mentioned before about disliking games at night, and I forgot, but The Witcher's not one I include in it because it has bright nights. And
really does,
the stars are in the sky all lit up. There's often a moon, and it's more than just dark. It's sort of more of a bluey tinge, isn't it? And you can still see. And there's like little candles in the windows of the houses in the cities. And I'm sure there's even shadows behind the shutters and stuff. Or maybe it's just phenomenal. I remember one thing about it. You mentioned Nicola being on a mountain and it being beautiful. My little test is always I was on a mountain. I was like, right, it's snow. Am I leaving footprints in the snow? And I did a little look, and I was like, yes. And then I'm like, well, are they dynamic? Are they actually following me in real time? So I do a little circle or two, figure of 8, and it's like, oh yeah, look at that. Wow. I don't know if you get the crunch sound effect as well, but I did the same test on Star Wars Battlefront in Hoth. I was like, do we see our footsteps? And we do, and I always like that. I'm always like, that's good. I don't like it if you can't see your footprints.
make sure you do that in Rise of the Tomb Raider, because I think, if we were given an award for best snow in 2015, I think Rise of the Tomb Raider would win that one, because I think you get the crunch as well.
Oh wow, yeah, I remember reading something about they gave it a name. It was like about dynamic snow physics, but they gave it a fancier name than that. It's got its own physics and it shifts itself and stuff. I'd forgotten about that. Oh wow, I'm so looking forward to that. So you can see the footprints in Rise of the Tomb Raider then, I presume.
Yes,
it's the footprint test.
Really can. The footprint test, they're down with them.
Yeah, there's a few contenders. Journey as well, but that's you can have it in sand, you can have it in snow.
Yes. Oh, that's it. I love that. That's kind of what you're looking at. Like when you're playing a game, it's like, just want to make sure. But that's it, though, isn't it? That's kind of all part of the immersion, isn't it? That you can have those things, and I think that's kind of what this next generation, maybe kind of the second half of this generation, is really going to bring us, which is those extras, all of that. Like, I remember playing a Tomb Raider, one of the Tomb Raiders early on PlayStation 2 or PlayStation 3, and when you got out of water, Lara looked like she was wet. Yeah. And I think that was the one that was when she was in Venice. And that was kind of, but it only lasted maybe like a couple of seconds before her character model was the dry character model, and that was an interesting one. But now we are getting kind of, more of that kind of realistic textures and stuff. So it's really cool.
It's like the craft has been honed for many years now of making a good game. And now we're getting that gloss and that sheen. I can't tell you the amount of times I just walk up to a rock and just get as close as I can, and then I'll zoom in. If there's a zoom effect, or get the sniper rifle on a rock just to look at the textures, and I'll just zoom in and zoom in and zoom in and be more amazed and more amazed and more amazed until the texture finally goes out, and then I'm like, oh well, it was pretty good though. Halo, the original Halo, I did that. Like when you first landed on the Halo, I suppose it was called, and the grass and everything, and I was just looking down and using the zoom to look at the grass. And just being amazed. And I'm still equally amazed today on games like The Witcher. It's the same sort of amazement because of the evolution, because you're seeing, we know what it was like. And you just look at that, I'm just like, I remember playing on my Commodore 64. Grass was a green square, if you were lucky. And now, you're seeing it blow in the wind, and it's just good. I don't know if the gamer kids of today would have the same appreciation if they've just gamed and it's always been this beautiful. Whether they're as staggered as us that have watched it evolve from Jet Set Willy. I'd like to think they would appreciate it, because they're obviously the keen gamers. They know about the history and where it came from. But to have been there like me and you, and like we will have. I'm sort of speaking for you here, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I used to wish when I was younger about games being this good, and it takes me aback sometimes how it's evolved and really how quickly it's got to this point. It's amazing, from playing school days, like I say, Jet Set Willy or Monty Mole, to this, or Daley Thompson's Decathlon and stuff like that. And I loved those games. They were good games then. It's just amazing. It makes me feel a bit old, but it's amazing.
No, but I totally agree, and I think that's why I've bought quite a few of those remasters, because there are some things that you're spot on. This, I think I've said before, where this generation is kind of what I've always wanted. It's the graphics that I've always wanted. There are some older games, and we're seeing that with the old kind of retro games, or even the indie scene. That you don't have to have the graphics to have good playability or to have a good mechanic in a game. But when you do get a game that looks like Batman, that looks like The Witcher, that looks like Metal Gear Solid, they are just amazing. And I'm totally with you there. This is what I've always wanted. I've wanted games to look the way they are. There was a point in The Witcher where I was walking through the forest. I had the surround sound turned up. There was a wind blowing. You could just hear it from every speaker, and it just looked incredible. And then, that's it. That's what I've always wanted, because I think before, when you were playing those games, even when you were playing them maybe on the PlayStation 1 or something like that, you probably filled the rest in with your mind. Your brain did the rest for you. But now the games are doing that, and they just look incredibly stunning. And it's always one of those things where I'm very tempted to buy a PC, because I know the PC could take that even the next step further. I know The Witcher looks even better on PC than it does on Xbox, and Force and the Star Wars Battlefront, that looks almost photorealistic on PC, and I just love it. I just love where we are right now with the visuals.
It's almost
in gaming.
as if in years gone by, imagination for games. There was the ambition, the imagination, but that was constrained by the hardware, by the power of what we had. And now, it's the imagination has sort of kind of fallen out, because I think almost everything's been explored in the current sort of gaming sphere that we have. We got to sort of FPSs, and that was a massive thing, and that was a long time ago. Now there hasn't been a step out of that. And now, so it's almost as if the hardware that we've got and the power that these gaming systems have got, let alone PC, that sky's the limit on, that's completely open field now. So that our imaginations are basically, your imagination is the limit. Whereas in the old days, it wasn't. Your imagination could only go like probably 2 steps, and it was like, oh well, we can't do this. We've only got this amount of resources. But now you can just add more. You can add more, and we pay the price, I suppose, in length of development time. I'm looking at you here, No Man's Sky, for instance. But good things come to those who wait. And yeah, you're talking about that immersion that we've got now, and you're saying this is what we always wanted, and this is what I always wanted as well. And when you were saying that, you're painting a picture there with the wind whistling round in The Witcher, and then all of a sudden I just overlaid VR onto that, and I was like, wow, we think that we've got it good now, but imagine that in VR. I don't know if we'll have like games that look as good as The Witcher 3 straight away in VR. I don't know. And the jury's out on that one, but it will get there. I think maybe VR and the specs of what we get at first for the consumer editions, I think again we might hit this hardware constraining imagination at first. Maybe. I mean, it depends where imagination takes people with it. But can you just imagine that? So I've got this image of you sat there on your 4K telly, playing The Witcher with the wind whistling around, the sound effects, the sun, and all that happening, and you with a massive smile on your face, right? And then all of a sudden, I'm just slapping the goggles on you, and I'm sort of seeing you going from being on the couch to being in the woods, and then I'm seeing this smile get even bigger, and I'm like, wow.
No, absolutely. To be fully immersed in that game would just be fantastic. Because, I don't know about you, but obviously, you have your phone by you, or, there are things that are around. And sometimes I get distracted from games where I'm like deep into The Witcher, and then suddenly my phone goes and there's a text. So I pause The Witcher and, reply to a text or a tweet or whatever I do. And then, and then you go back into it. Now, I know I could just move those devices away from me, but you're kind of always connected. And if you've got VR on, you're then cut off, aren't you, from that? It's going to annoy the hell out of Nicola because she won't be able to talk to me. But I would just be like, because I'll have my sound cancelling headphones on, I'll have, my VR on, I'll be totally disconnected from anything but the game.
Well, we're all going to be living in boxes.
We really are. So it's just
scary. But there's a scariness to it as well.
But it's really good because it just keeps that immersion, doesn't it? And if this generation is about that immersion, then VR is really going to take it to the next level.
Do you think it's going to bring some psychological conditions along with it? Of people that just don't want to come out. Because it's better to get, one of these boxes. They might not have much money, but if they get one of these, it's better than real life.
I think that's always going to happen, isn't it? I mean, I remember when Avatar came out, there were people that were depressed because they wanted to live in that world, and things like that. So you can imagine that it's going to happen in VR. If whatever game that you create, if you create something like No Man's Sky, and No Man's Sky is full of VR, people are going to get immersed in that. We were talking about that Russian guy last week who got his life got turned upside down with Fallout 4. So if he's slap a pair of goggles on him, then God knows what will happen. Sold
his soul for Fallout 4. I wonder if the media's going to have a field day. I wonder which direction it'll go in. I wonder if it's going to go, oh no, it's corrupting the minds of people, or if it's going to say, oh, it's amazing and this is great for education and great for this and that and the other, and it's revolutionary. So that'll be interesting. I'm really shocked at how quiet. I mean, I don't really watch any TV, so I might be out of touch here. But it seems to me that mainstream media aren't really hyped or mentioning VR as the... Maybe it's just because I'm just such a massive geek. But I see it as like a massive sort of... I can't even think of the word. Just a massive event in tech that could revolutionise many things. And it doesn't seem to have any hype, It's just weird. When you think about the amount of hype Star Wars got, this could just be so big. But then maybe it's, like I've said before, maybe it's just that drip feed thing. It's just going to roll out like the internet did. it never really got embraced all of a sudden. It wasn't a snap of the fingers and it was there. It was a bit of a slow burn, the internet, and before you knew it, you sort of just turned round and it had already encompassed the world almost without us noticing. So maybe it'll be the same. It'll be a slow burn, and then all of a sudden everyone will just have VR, but everybody didn't really notice.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think, because it's not out for consumer yet, because it's just that kind of beta and, and there isn't kind of really anything that's there. I think that's why your general media outlets and, I was talking to my dad over Christmas telling him about kind of VR and he was just like, wow, that sounds incredible. Why haven't I heard anything about it? And I was saying to him, I think that will change because if CES, as we were predicting last week, if CES is all about, VR and 4K, then both of those things are going to rocket into the kind of general consensus, and I think they will get there, and I think it just takes one of those to be launched, because we don't have a product on the shelf yet, but once they're on the shelf, and they're news items or they're just kind of, I think that's when we're going to get that uptake. And you're right, it takes people like us, the early adopters and anyone who's kind of into tech, to get those products, to start spreading the word of mouth, and then it just slowly becomes, an everyday thing. If you look at the iPad, when I first got my iPad, which was when they first came out, people were like, oh, you won't find a need for that. That's just a waste of money. And now, even my dad can't do without a tablet. He has it for stuff that he needs, and it's just really interesting to see how that. And I think VR tech and 4K is going to follow the same pattern.
Yeah, I agree. And I was the same with tablets when the iPad came out. I was just like, this is just a big phone. It's just a big iPhone. I don't need it. And like how wrong I was. I must admit, I got my first one through work. But now I couldn't be without it, And my parents saw mine and got one. And they couldn't be without theirs. And it makes laptops feel archaic. And it's as if the tablet revolutionised the consuming of the internet. So for productivity, really, you're best off with a laptop, I think. But for just pure consumption of what's on there and for entertainment, what better way than to use a tablet? It's instant on, which your laptop has to boot up. It's so portable, and it was strange. It was so quick that I was like, "This is amazing. This is so much better." You can do productivity stuff on it as well. It's a lot more easy to carry around, but it just made laptops feel out of date straight away for me.
Yes.
I use a laptop. I like my laptop as well, but I don't use it in the same way that I used to. It's more of a work tool now, much more than it ever was before. Before it was a mixture. It was a mixture of consuming the internet, some games, and work. Now, primarily, it's more of a productivity tool only. It's only if I have to use some kind of office suite that I would use that, and it's tablets for the rest. So yeah, these things do happen, and it can take you by surprise. And sometimes it hits, and sometimes it misses. So VR could be a miss. It could be another Kinect. I hope it's not. It could be. I'm trying to think of other failures that we've had. Could be a Betamax thing, but at least there was a rival then that won.
Could be another PlayStation Move.
Yeah, it could be another PlayStation Move. Well, PSVR is going to use PlayStation Move.
Well, exactly. That's what worries me.
So, yeah, I know. So maybe that's it. It could be really terrible, or a flash in the pan like the Wii, where it is brilliant at first, but it's sort of in the end it ends up not being used so much. So it'll be interesting. I think I'll love it when I get it. But will it have the staying power? That's an interesting question, isn't it? Because we're all excited about it. It's going to come out. We're going to get it. Me and you are just going to get it. Come hell or high water. I won't be able to stop myself from getting it because I'm too impatient. But the fact is, it could end up being a bit of a flash in the pan.
Yes.
It could. I hope it doesn't.
But it could be, on the flip side, on my positive side, it could be, revolutionary. It could be absolutely revolutionary. Take about a year to catch on. And as you say, when Sam's going to secondary school, they're all doing it via VR. And then suddenly we're living that Ernest Cline novel.
Wow, yeah, Ready Player One, man. And yeah, instead of going to the butcher's for your horrible heart taken to biology to dissect, that's a lamb's heart, I think, not you. Want to know anything? They'll be doing it in there in VR, They'll be there and they'll be looking at the human body and, as I said before, their history lessons and all the stories that you learn at school. Maybe there'll be an educational fund to create these VR worlds of history. You could walk walk through the Roman Empire, all these things. You walk through the trenches in history, see what it was really like. So you like actually, instead of watching Gallipoli, the treat we had in history was we watched Gallipoli, and you'd actually sort of could be there in VR and see the real, maybe censored horror of it. When you're at school, biology would be amazing, as I've said. I think everything really, with HoloLens, it shows them using it to learn. Like she rings up the plumber or whatever, and he shows where to do the screwing, by actually drawing rings around things and arrows in real life. So, you could learn from the best teachers in the world as well. They could record one teaching session, and you could have the whole world going to school with the very best of teachers who could record these virtual lectures or lessons on things. I don't know. The sky's the limit, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's a real shame, though, because, Ready Player One is being made into a movie, isn't it? Steven Spielberg is directing. Ernest Cline's working on the screenplay. And it's such a shame that that's not out next year, because I think that would kind of be really good time, when this technology is in its infancy and people are not quite sure about it, and then suddenly you get this movie out already about that tech. I just think that would be quite an opportune time to bring it out. But I think it's not coming out until 2017, so we've got a couple of years.
Yeah. I suppose it will still be in its infancy. Excuse me. Sorry about that.
No, absolutely. But so should we get on to our news section?
Yeah.
So in this week's news section, we're going to talk about Uncharted 4. It's slipped again. Radio 1 finally acknowledges gaming, and we also have those 3 free PlayStation Plus releases with the PS Plus games for January. The first one was with me, and that's about Uncharted. So Uncharted 4: A Thief's End has a new release date. Neil Druckmann, who is the producer over at Naughty Dog, put out a release just before Christmas saying that they have moved the launch from March to April 26, 2016. So they said they need a little bit more time to get this game kind of together. It's the biggest Uncharted game that they've ever done, and they just need a little bit more time to just kind of get the to realise their vision and to get it across the finish line. It's quite funny because I don't know about you, Daz, but for me, I read this and thought 2 things. I read this and thought, it's okay. It was a little bit disappointing, but at the same time, I was happy because I want these guys to take as much time as they want. Uncharted 4, No Man's Sky, Gears of War, take as much time as you want with these titles. Don't rush them out because you feel pressure from us who we can't wait to get hold of this. So I was okay with that. And again, it's quite nice to see these games all kind of moving away, because at one point I think we had about 5 or 6 huge titles in March, and now things are just kind of spacing out just a little bit better. They're just kind of giving us a little bit time to play these key titles. So I'm not too bad about that delay. What do you think?
Yeah, it's nice the way you phrase that. It's like just a bit of breathing space.
Yeah.
A bit of breathing space. Well, the state of my backlog at the moment, I'm quite happy for it to be delayed. And like you say, these Uncharted games have always been like a sort of benchmark setting game. And Naughty Dog don't want to ruin that. They don't want to tarnish that reputation. If it takes them a few extra months to get it out and get it out right, then I'm right behind that. I would like, if taking the delays into account, that it didn't come out with a 50 gig patch on day one.
Yes.
That would be nice.
Yes.
And we just get a finished quality product, leave it till May, as far as I'm concerned, but do it right. And I don't know if this is the final game for Uncharted 4. Is it called, what's the subtitle? I forgot. Is it A Thief's End?
It's A Thief's End. I think,
they
are...
It hints that it could be.
Yeah.
But then the last one sounded like it could be as well.
Oh, really? Right. So I'm quite glad that this was slipped, because I need to play Uncharted 3 before this. So I've still got that to play. So I want to kind of get that done before this game comes out. I can see me kind of doing some crunching before the game comes out, just so I can get Uncharted 3 finished.
Yeah, Uncharted 3 was Drake's Deception, so actually it didn't sound that final. But I don't know, I just got a feeling that it was a bit final when I played it. I really loved the characters in that, and the interactions between the characters, the personalities of the guys. I think I found Nathan Drake, and I just found them all quite endearing ever since the first one. I really liked it, and for me, I think when Uncharted came out and I played it, I think, did I get it with my when I actually got my PS3? I can't remember, but I felt very endeared to the characters anyway, and I hadn't seen it done as nicely as that in other games where the personality shone through.
Yeah,
I didn't think he was that wood. I know he like kills 1 million people and does a one-liner every time, but I don't know. There's just something about him, just the way he's running along and he trips and he's like, oh crap, and stuff like that. And the little repartee between him and Sully and things like that, the ongoing chats they have, that was demonstrated in the demo at E3 for Uncharted 4 when they're in the Jeep and they've just got this tittle-tattle going along as they're driving through towns, blowing them to smithereens. But yeah, I've always liked them. The delay, it's disappointing, but there's going to be games to play, isn't there? You know, you mentioned a few with Banner Saga and what have you. There's Mirror's Edge, hopefully before Uncharted. That'd be a nice tied over game. You know, I expect that to be about a 10-hour game. And yeah, it was good at EGX, wasn't it?
It really was, good. Absolutely, and I just think, if maybe they had that beta, they had the Uncharted 4 beta, so maybe there was a little bit to do with the multiplayer that they needed to go back for, and they want it to be both there as a complete package before it goes live. Like I say, whatever it is, I'm fine with that. Just make it so it's I think they want it to be a 10, don't they? If you're worried about reviews and they want a score, they want it to be a 10, don't they? They want it to be kind of up there. I think Uncharted 3 was well received both critically and also amongst the Uncharted fan base. So they really have a lot to live up to, and I think they just kind of want to get it there. Now, I did say I had two thoughts. Now, that was one, which was, fine, take whatever time you need. My other thought, and you might think I'm an idiot, but the other thought is, could they be coming out with PlayStation VR for this? Could this be a PlayStation VR title? Could they add an additional patch that would allow you to or include it in the game that's compatible with PlayStation VR? You put it on, and then it's a third-person view, but you're immersed in that entire world.
Yeah, wow.
And because we don't have a release date. We have a April release date for No Man's Sky. That's correct, isn't it? It's April that they said was No Man's Sky. So the same month.
Was it June?
It might have been June. But, could it be that they're going to give you a bit of a PlayStation VR mode or a PlayStation VR side of this game? And when I saw that date, I was like, that's kind of... I mean, obviously, first of all, I turned into Yoda, and then PlayStation VR it is, and then I was thinking, could this be, PlayStation VR? Could they be adding a section to it?
Yeah, some sort of like VR compatibility. I mean, they could do. No Man's Sky is June. PSVR is earmarked for. I'm not sure if they said June, but they said first half or second quarter of 2016. So they tie in quite well, and they could be. I mean, if I was Naughty Dog, obviously they don't want to mess it up. They want to make this game, because there's always been a benchmark game. They're going to want to make this game sort of stand head and shoulders above what's already been released, and they've got some competition. I mean, maybe they've looked at The Witcher and they're like, whoa, maybe they looked at Bloodborne, maybe they looked at The Order,
maybe they looked at Lara Croft, Tomb Raider, Rise of the Tomb Raider.
Yeah, that's the perfect one, actually. That's the one. Maybe they looked at Rise of the Tomb Raider and they were like, whoa, they're giving us a run for our money here. We're going to have to step up our game. Let's get polishing. Let's delay. Let's polish. But it wouldn't hurt for them to add some VR compatibility. I don't know how complicated that would be for them to do. I would personally think that it wouldn't work to play the game in VR because it's too fast-paced.
Right.
I don't think it would work very well. From my experience and from some articles that I've read, I know that, and I forget the developer, but there was a developer that wrote an article. They were working on a game. It was a TPS. It was a third-person game, and they just said, "We've got an announcement. Hands up here." I think it might have been a crowdfunding game, and they said, "Look, we're not doing it for VR anymore." And they listed a load of reasons. They said basically it doesn't work for third person. Because the nature of this game is too fast. It doesn't gel with the experience of VR. I mean, that could change. It may not be completely correct. It may just be that that's just their opinion. But I remember EGX, I played that, and admittedly not very good third-person game, and it just didn't work for me at all. It didn't, and maybe that's just an adjustment thing as well. But I would say that's not the kind of thing to get you hooked into VR. But what I would say they could do, and this is an idea, a little bit like you get extras on when you've got DVDs, you got extras, didn't you? You could see behind the scenes and things like that. They could maybe add a section where it's a VR mode, and you then could put your PSVR on, and you can explore the level, but without having to, have the quick reactions to be shooting everybody. But you just get the open level to sort of just enjoy, just to walk about. A bit like I was saying before about looking at the rocks and stuff like that. But you can, there could be some sort of less frantic gameplay element to it. But it's just like, hey, this is the scene that you've played through, you've enjoyed it, and it's now unlocked in VR mode. Have a walk through this jungle, or have a look through this wrecked boat, or whatever it's going to be. And I think that would be amazing. Those would be great extras that I'd definitely have a look at, because you could, you've done the level, you've enjoyed the action, and then you can stroll through it and enjoy the glory and beauty of the level as well in VR. Now that would be well cool.
That'd be really cool. Kind of like Halo Forge mode, but with just like I say, just kind of going around these. Oh god, that would be really cool. And that would, like I say, that would be really kind of, you'd be really immersed in it as well, wouldn't you? You'd be really kind of, and there's no, as you say, there's no kind of bad guys, so you don't have to have that kind of quick reflexes or twitching around, and you do just get to kind of enjoy it. And I just wonder if that, I may be completely wrong, might be completely bonkers, but they were just the thoughts I had when I saw that come up. I was like, interesting. They want PlayStation VR to be very, to have some key titles, and maybe they were just, Sony just said, do us a favour, put that in, put that mode in, or make it compatible with PlayStation VR. So
it would be good. Why not? It's like, VR's massive, we really want to push it this year. Could you bolt us something on, get us some VR compatibility? It'd be amazing. Well, imagine it, that like Nathan Drake could walk up to you in VR, and he's like, follow me, that could be it, and he takes you on a tour. That'd be awesome. Or like when you said Forge mode then, I mean, that would be even better, because in Forge mode you can make the levels yourself.
Yes.
So instead of just going through an Uncharted level that's already been made, which would be fantastic enough, we could make experiences, say in a Forge mode, whether it be Halo or Uncharted, as long as it's got a VR capacity in it, and then upload it. And it's like, Antony, I've made the scariest map ever. I dare you to go down this tunnel I've made in VR. And like, it's all scary and stuff, and you're like, whoa, that's freaky. And you say, oh, Daz, look at this. I've made this maze, see if you can navigate it. Let's see you can get to the middle first.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. Wow. Like user-created content that you can explore in VR.
Yeah, I mean, we might be disappointed when they don't announce it, but it was just, and I think that's kind of how excited I am for PlayStation VR. The fact that you get a mis-release date for something, and you're like, I wonder if they're putting PlayStation VR, and then your mind does wander.
Yeah, it definitely does. Yeah.
But we'll see. Crossed. We'll see. Hopefully, we'll get some more information very soon. Like I say, we're less than a week away from the Consumer Electronics Show in Vegas, so maybe we're going to hear something about it then.
Yeah. Well, HTC Vive have said that they're going to reveal at that show this. What is it? How did they phrase it again? Something like very, very big technological breakthrough for HTC Vive that has caused them to delay the unit. So that's going to be announced, and let's hope we'll get some more news as well. I mean, I can't even imagine what that technological breakthrough could be. I cannot for the life of me think what it is. But I can't wait to hear it. I hope it's not going to be like, like Lucky Palmer at the Game Awards, Rock Band VR, that was a bit deflating. So I don't know. I take it with a pinch of salt. Let's see what it is. And I'm hoping it's not another sort of like. It's like, I can't even think. I can't even think what it could be. It's like Minecraft. It's like, well, that's not.
Yes.
So we'll just see. We'll just see. So on to the next item, which is with myself, and it's just simply the PS Plus games for January. So they're going to all be out on the 5th of January 2016. Quick recap of what you could miss. These will all become unavailable probably around midnight on the 4th of January. So the games available at the moment are Gauntlet, King's Quest, Chapter 1, Far Cry, they're both on PS4, PS3, you got Far Cry 3, Blood Dragon, and SSX. It makes me wish I had my PS3. I never played Blood Dragon. Freedom Wars on the Vita, and Rocket Bird's Hard Boiled Chicken on the PS Vita as well. So you've got like a few days to get them before the 5th. And then on the 5th of January, we've got Hardware Rivals on PS4, Grim Fandango Remastered on PS4, Dragon Age Origins on PS3, Medal of Honor Warfighter on PS3, Nihilumbra on PS Vita, and Legends of War Pattern on PS Vita. So, another fine bundle. I've not heard of Hardware Rivals. It looks like it's some sort of dragster game.
It looks similar to kind of like a dragster kind of version of Rocket League.
Yeah,
It looks like a petrol version of Rocket League. I think it's very much kind of even their little bump on the PlayStation blog. They do say kind of buckle up and probably an action-packed, adrenaline-fueled, unique combat arena. So it does sound very similar to Rocket League.
What was that game? It was a PlayStation only, I think, racing game. It sort of had an evil clown in it, and it was all it sort of had a comic book feel. You can't remember it, can you?
Yeah, so they're supposed to be rebooting it, aren't they?
Yeah, and I can never remember the name of it. It's going to do my head in. Oh dear, I might have to leave that. Because it's hunt down your enemies in armoured tanks or swap power for crazy speed in fast attack vehicles as you battle it out with your fellow PlayStation Plus members. Yeah, so it might be okay. It's like, why do they need another one? We've got Rocket League.
Twisted Metal was the game that you're after.
Thank you. Twisted Metal. Yeah, so maybe it'll be a bit like that. I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. It'll be interesting to, like I say, it's a freebie, so it's worthwhile just kind of... The one that I am quite interested in is Grim Fandango Remastered. I'm definitely going to grab that. I think that would be quite nice to kind of play through that again.
Did you play it on PC when it came out?
No. I kind of know of it and I know about it, but I've never played it. But it's definitely one of the ones I want to kind of have a go of. And I don't think it is, because the way you were saying it just seemed to be PS4. But I thought Grim Fandango Remastered was also on Vita as well. But maybe it's not, because sometimes these PS Plus games, they give you kind of cross-play, cross-buy, don't they?
Yeah, they do, and it's...
I'm not sure. It might not be.
It doesn't say that any of them are, which is a shame, because I like it when you get the old cross-play one, especially when it's a Vita one that cross-plays with PS4. That's what I like. Yes. I haven't got a Vita, but a lot of Vita games are really my kind of games, little indie games. I really like them. But yeah, I've played a bit of Grim Fandango in the past. When it came out, I played a little bit. I own it. I've never completed it because it's on PC now. I don't really turn my laptop on that much. So it'd be nice to play the remastered version. It's gone to PS Plus very quick. It's not been out that long, I don't think, really.
No.
So, I don't know. Is it not sold that well? I don't know. I don't know what the reason is. Or is it just generosity of Sony? Because it's a good game.
Absolutely, it might be generosity of Sony, and also don't forget they did announce Full Throttle, didn't they?
And Day of the Tentacle.
So
is it to whet the appetites, just to get everybody in the mood for point and click?
Yeah, so Day of the Tentacle's coming out soon. Full Throttle's coming out next year. So there's maybe it's just that, just to similar to what Microsoft have done. We had the Tomb Raider reboot. We had that free just before Rise of the Tomb Raider came out. So it's just all about kind of getting kind of people interested in that, get them hooked on a double fine point and click adventure. So when the other two come out, you buy them at full price. Yeah,
and why not? You've got the assets there. You can see the figures. Maybe it's plateaued. And it's kind of like, well, it just makes good business sense. We'll give this free. We're not really losing anything by giving it. And like you say, and this might get some more interest and a bit of hype going for the next one. And it's like, it just makes sense, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And if you've got a PS3, Dragon Age Origins, that was quite a decent game. So that's a really good kind of purchase if you're still rocking your PS3.
Was that the last? Was that the last Dragon Age game?
It was, yeah.
Crikey, I'd forgotten the subtitle. That's an amazing game. I thought I played it on a next-gen machine. It must have been one of the last adventures I had on my 360.
Right.
Then.
Yeah.
But yeah, what a great game. I really enjoyed that. I was playing that in sort of last... Hold on a minute, I'm just trying to work this out. Sort of like last November, when it came out about a year ago, didn't it? Is that right? No, that can't be right. 2 years ago, maybe it was. Yeah. It must have been. That was the winter just before I got my Xbox One for Christmas. I was playing on Dragon Age.
Well, don't forget the last one was Inquisition, wasn't it?
Oh, that's it. Sorry, it's Inquisition I played last. That's why I'm getting completely confused. Origins, I haven't played.
No, so Inquisition's that one where you have kind of there's multiple people as part of your team.
Yeah, that's the one. I liked that one.
Yeah, I gave that to Nicola because she was after something to kind of bridge the gap between Skyrim and the next Skyrim, and she didn't gel with that one, but which why I was worried when I gave her Witcher 3. But that one seems to be a solid. The Witcher 3 is definitely a solid one because she can't stop playing it. So, but I mean, there's some great titles. I'm not sure what the two Vita games are. Legends of War Pattern, that looks a bit like a kind of not a tower defense, but a kind of side-scrolling kind of tank game, and kind of very much kind of resource, and so that's an interesting one. I might just kind of have a quick look because I'm always after a bit of strategic management on the PlayStation Vita, because it's really good for doing that kind of while you're moving around or traveling. So I'll take a look at that one.
Yeah, and they're always worth a look because they're free. Hooray!
Indeed. And even if you haven't got a Vita, as you were saying, Dad, some of them are cross-play, or cross-platform, which is great. But even if you haven't got a Vita, it's worthwhile bagging it, because you never know, in the future you might get a Vita, and then when you do, you've got this huge library just sitting there waiting for you.
Yeah, absolutely, and same goes for anyone with a PS3 that hasn't made the jump yet. You should definitely be getting them, all these PS4 games.
Yeah,
it just makes sense.
Fantastic. Next article is with me. Just a really quick one. Was that on Tuesday, the BBC Radio 1 in the UK, launched their first ever gaming show. Now, this I thought was quite an interesting one. I just thought they've never had a gaming dedicated show. So this was their first ever. It's called Radio 1's Gaming Show with Julia Hardy. Now, Julia Hardy, anyone who has an Xbox One over the summer, they would have seen she was there with kind of AC Bongos and Major Nelson kind of helping out the E3 coverage and also Gamescom coverage as well. So she's a real kind of internet celebrity when it comes to gaming. And so Radio 1 have an hour show. I believe it's every week. I had a listen. It was on at 9 o'clock on Mondays. So it's 9 o'clock on Mondays, but obviously if you've got BBC iPlayer, then you can get it there, and you can kind of have you can download it there. And I'll put a link in the show notes as well, so you can kind of quick jump to it. Now, I had a listen. It was an interesting one. You and I, we've been, on this pod already. We've been chatting for about an hour, and we've covered a lot more content than they were able to do on Radio 1. Now, what Julia is doing, she's got a great style. She's very kind of fast. She was interviewing some YouTubers. She had one chap called Vic Star and another one who was a really good FIFA player, Spencer, I think his name was. So she had a couple of interviews. She also interviewed Doug Cockle, who's the voice of Geralt in Witcher 3 as well. But throughout the entire hour show, there was music from games. So whether it was, it was on the soundtrack, so they had some of the stuff from Borderlands, so they had the heavies, How Do You Like Me Now, and that sort of stuff, and they had some kind of game soundtrack stuff. So they were interspersing it with game music. But I just found, and that was quite nice. It was quite nice just to listen to that. But I just found the rest of it was incredibly light in content. She's talking to this guy Vic Star. I really wanted to kind of hear kind of how he got started, what he was doing, and obviously, in an hour show when this guy has like 5 minutes plus a song that he's picked, you had kind of no time to kind of get to the nitty gritty, no time to get to kind of content. So it did seem a very kind of fast paced. We're just going to give you the very kind of headlines and everything, but it's kind of a double-edged sword, because I want to kind of, it's an achievement that Radio 1 has got this gaming show, but at the same time, is radio the right medium for this? Because, if it was Julia on a podcast, she could probably go for 2 hours and talk to these people just kind of a little bit more in depth. Yeah.
So it's an hour show. I mean, you can get more than skin deep, can't you? But you just have to reduce what you're covering. So do you think that they tried to sort of feature too much, pack too much into the slot, or is that just the way it works for radio? Do you think?
I think
because it's got to be all sort of sensational and like, wow, that's amazing, and now the next thing, and it's amazing. Do you think that's what they're going for, or do you think that
it really was a bit like that? It was like, here's my top 3 games of the year, and it was just like, this one is a really good game, this one is a really good game, and then my favourite was this. Now here's a track from Rock Band 3. It was like that. And I kind of feel that I love it that gaming is on at 9 o'clock on Radio 1, and there is a slot for it. But at the same time, it's just like, should you kind of maybe try and reduce the amount of music that's on there and try and just to have a little bit more kind of in-depth interviews? Because, the Doug Cockle interview was really interesting. Luckily, I'd heard him, I think they already had an interview on Major Nelson's podcast. So I kind of going through some of the same things, like, how he came up with the voice, what he did. But if that's the first time that you've heard this, it was incredibly light on content.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I mean, it's great because it's another bit of the evolution of gaming getting more into the mainstream, being recognised. So that's fantastic. And the media's tried, hasn't it, over the years to create a gaming program, and I don't think it's actually worked as yet. When I ever read about the best games programs ever, Games Master still seems to come top, and that wasn't great. I thought it was very cringy. So yeah, it's moving in the right direction, and it's only 1 episode in. I haven't listened to it yet. From your description, I don't know. Maybe they'll take us some feedback from the episode. Go on Twitter. Maybe the fans will be like, yeah, it was really good, but maybe just dwell a little bit more on the content, and maybe it'll just evolve. And it's got to start somewhere, hasn't it?
Oh, absolutely. I've definitely kind of added it, I think, on iPlayer, I've subscribed or whatever I've done, so I'll get the next one. So I'm definitely going to listen to the next couple. Like I say, Julia Hardy, when I've seen her on the Xbox Dash and stuff, she's really good. She's great at interviewing. She has a really, really great style. And, there was, I think, it was during the Gamescom coverage where they were talking to developers. But I just find with this and also with the Xbox, it was very kind of, it was very kind of quick. I'd love to hear her just to kind of get down and nerdy with some of these guests. Like I say, you had a chap there who's this kind of huge YouTuber, and he's got a whole group of friends that are also YouTubers, and they all kind of came together for GTA. And I was I was really interested. And I guess the great thing about it was it kind of made me go off and just find out a little bit more about him. So it was almost like a jumping off point that show wasn't giving me. So you have to go off and find some more yourself. So that was great, and and some of the stuff that they played, some of the music they played was really good. So it was an interesting one. But like I say, I think the positive out of all of this is just that gaming's on Radio 1, which is fantastic.
It is. It's hitting the mainstream even more. Massive listener base. So it's amazing the reach that's going to have. Did you find yourself as you listened to it sort of chipping in? Like, no. Oh, yeah. Sort of, did it actually elicit sort of a vocal response from you? Because I always find if I'm listening to a good podcast or a show, or actually even a bad one, I find that if I've got a bit passionate, I'll sort of chirp up with a little response, even though there's no one, even if there's no one in the room.
No, I don't think it did that yet. There wasn't kind of anyone that I was kind of really interested, in to start. So they didn't really kind of do that. I did I was like, I love this song. I did do that a couple of times with, like I say, they had the theme from Borderlands 2 and there were some others as well, So there was just that was like, I love this tune. That was quite cool. But I'll be interested to see what the next episode, the next broadcast is like. So that's on Mondays, 9 o'clock on BBC Radio 1. Those people in the UK, I think you can get the Radio 1 via iPlayer for anyone who's in the US or outside of the UK.
And if you can't, get a VPN.
Yes, there you go.
Yeah, man. Cool. That sounds really good. I'll have to have a listen. The next item with myself. Well, we're through the other side of Christmas. We got through. Now, as I've said, I didn't have that much time to game, but when I did go on, everything was working as far as I could see. How about you?
Yeah, everything was awesome.
No problems. Fantastic. So, looks like DDoS attacks did not bring down gaming fun for people this Christmas. So, hooray! So there were some threats, and they didn't come to fruition. So that's fantastic. It's really good. I was happy. I wasn't happy about my 10 gig download. But everything was working, so that was brilliant, and I was happy about people getting consoles at Christmas time and being able to use them. So I don't know whether attack was initiated or not, or whether the defences that Microsoft and Sony have put into place have succeeded, because I don't think they'd really shout about it, really, because you don't want to give these groups any sort of extra airtime, really. But as far as I could see, and as far as I've read, everything went tickety-boo over Christmas, which is brilliant. All except poor Rainbow Six fans who were trying to play Rainbow Six Siege, and that not because of a DDoS attack, but just because of volume of players that had a bit of that suffered over the Christmas period, which is a bit of a shame. So it was basically due to the influx of new players, and it led to disconnects, usual stuff. Not being able to join matches, getting stuck in lobbies, bugs, lag, and not being able to earn the in-game currency as well, which is renown, that's quite important because you need that to sort of level up and things. Yeah. So this went on for a while, and then Ubisoft acknowledged the issues on Twitter eventually at 20 to 12 p.m. on the 28th of December. Thanks for your patience while we investigate the current Rainbow Six Siege degradation. Please stay tuned with us here. So, I think when things like this happen, it's getting the responsible party to admit there's a fault. That's 90% of the battle, isn't it? Because then you're sort of over the hump. You can hope that there's going to be a fix coming pretty shortly. So yeah, that's a bit of a shame. It's not a game that's been on my radar really, but I know the Rainbow Six games have got a huge following. I didn't realise it would have that much of a following to break the servers, or maybe the server to player ratio just wasn't quite there. I don't know.
I've got to think, listen to you kind of talk about that news story, that maybe Ubisoft were quite happy that happened because I haven't heard a lot of people talk about Rainbow Six. I played the beta and it was okay. It's definitely something that's kind of up there with like Evolve, where you need to have a group of people, chatting and all kind of ready to go, ready to play. I think if you had a group of mates doing it and playing it, I think it would be fun. But kind of playing it with randoms, I'm not quite sure. So they must have been over the moon when the servers broke.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't help that the game's been a bit of a buggy mess from its release,
right?
From reportedly. But yeah, it's like if we brought out something, I'd love it if our website broke because so many people trying to listen to the pod. And yeah, so it's a nice problem to have, isn't it? But it's something that you need to sort out.
If they can sort it out quite quickly. Was that on all platforms? So was it on PlayStation 4 and Xbox and PC? Or
it was because it's their servers, so yeah.
Right,
been across the board, yeah.
But it's all fixed now, and people are happily playing Rainbow Six.
Yeah, it's better than it was, but I think there's still quite a few bugs there. So that not to do with the influx of players, but the game is a bit buggy, and so they're working on patching those and getting it fixed. So we're still waiting for it to sort of get to that perfect state, which is a shame. But Ubisoft have acknowledged it, and they're working on it, and even though maybe it should have been released later when it was working, at least they're saying, hands up, we're going to fix this. And it's interesting because we covered quite a few podcasts ago, there was a change to British law about, it was about digital purchases. Do you remember that? And there was a little change that said that if you buy something digital and it's not fit for purpose, you can get a refund.
Yeah.
So sometime there's going to be a buggy mess released, and there's going to be some refund issue that's going to take account of this change in law, and it'd be interesting to see what happens with that. Whether it would be that it has set a precedent that a mass refund has to take place. It'd be kind of good if something happened that was quite big that kind of made these companies have a second think about releasing them not quite finished. But then you got the argument some people would rather have it earlier, and as long as they can play it and have it patched over time. So it's a double-edged sword of an argument, that one, because some games I'd say just give it me now and I'll wait. But then you see there's in a state that's playable and it just needs a few patches just to smooth around the edges. Like The Witcher wasn't perfect, but it was totally playable on release. And then there's games like Assassin's Creed Unity that were just a complete mess. Arkham Knight on PC. Yeah. So that's the thing, isn't it? But someone would have to make that distinction of when it gets Well, I suppose someone will have to make the distinction of when a game is not fit for purpose. And if it's released and it's not fit for purpose, then the people that are trying to play it, if they're that annoyed with it, they should be able to get a refund. And I was said before, Steam have got that policy in place now. They've got a no quibble, something like, I forget the term. I think it might be 28 days. Whatever you get, if you're not happy, you can just get a refund on it.
That's really cool. That's really good.
Yeah, so we'll see if because Sony and Microsoft, it's like once you've bought it, that's it on digital anyway.
Yes.
So it'll be interesting to see if anything does develop. But hopefully they'll just fix it and everyone will enjoy playing the game that they love.
Absolutely. Oh, that's fantastic. I mean, like I say, it's great that they acknowledge it, that they're trying to fix it. And by the sounds of it, they were quite speedy at doing it as well.
Yeah, that's half the battle, really. I had a little glitch with Battlefront over Christmas. I went to play Battlefront and it wouldn't connect to EA. So I had a bit of a panic attack and I tweeted out from the Spark Pod, "Oh no, Battlefront's down." And then I went to EA. Well, actually, to the hashtag Battlefront, there was an official Battlefront Twitter presence there,
right?
And there was more than just me. There was like quite a lot of people saying it's down. I was like, oh no, I really want to play it. But then EA didn't acknowledge it. They said everything was fine. It evidently wasn't. But then 20 minutes later, it was back up. So a 20-minute glitch. I'm not gonna really be that annoyed about. These things can happen. They might have just rebooted something, I don't know, but that you can tolerate. But it's just sometimes there's outages that don't get acknowledged, like when Games website dropped as I was trying to order, or many people were trying to order their Pip-Boy editions. Yes. And that wasn't acknowledged. And then there was the fact that big bungle up of not having the stock and all that, and then them not just acknowledging that there was a mistake or that there was a shortfall on stock and things like that. It's when companies or entities don't acknowledge that there's a problem that it's more difficult, because you can't start fixing it until you've admitted there's a problem, can you?
Exactly, and like I say, it's always better just to say, yeah, there is an issue, this is what we're doing. Just make people aware, just communicate. It's one of the things that as a program manager, as a project manager, that when I'm working on projects, it's always about that. It's about communicating. It's about kind of saying, yes, there is an issue, we're working on it, because that calms people. That calms people down, rather than not saying anything, remaining silent. It's like if a train is late and it's going to be 10 minutes late, that's a bit of a bugger. You're not happy. But if there's no announcement and it just says coming, then you're just like, you have no idea, and that's when you start getting kind of angry and riled up, and that's when people start tweeting things and all of that. So it's great that they just acknowledge it and off they go. It's the same we had with Microsoft a couple of years ago with the Halo Master Chief Edition. When that came out and that had some problems, Microsoft was straight on that. They were like, we've got some issues, we're fixing them, please bear with me. They even put it on the screen as you fired up the Master Chief Edition, so they added it to one of their daily notifications, because they were aware that there was a problem and they wanted to fix it and make sure that everyone was okay.
Yeah, and that helps quell, like you say, it helps quell the frustration. It really does. It's like everybody makes mistakes, from individual people to giant corporate entities. Mistakes can happen and do happen and always will. And it's not until you see somebody dealing with fixing something that's gone wrong, that's when you see the real heart inside, isn't it? That's when you really see to get the measure of a company or whatever, or a person. It's when they've made a mistake, how they handle that. That's when you see the true colours. And it's so much better. You win so much more respect by putting your hand up, saying, I can see that. It's our bad. We're on it. Leave it with us. We'll keep you updated. That's all you need to do.
Absolutely. Indeed. And then on to the next piece of news. The next piece of news is over in the movie world. Now, Empire Magazine, the awesome Empire Magazine, the movie magazine here in the UK, available worldwide via iPad, which is just a fantastic. Every month that magazine just kind of delivers, and this month they have delivered first 2 screenshots from the Assassin's Creed movie. So just before Christmas, we got a little bit of a tease of Michael Fassbender in his Assassin's Creed outfit, and there was also a bit where there was a news article where they were saying that Michael Fassbender has been playing all of the Assassin's Creed games to kind of get him in the mood, so he knows what he's dealing with. But Empire Magazine have launched. They've got a little bit of information. They've got like a 2016 blowout issue this month. And so what they've got is they've got two photos. One of them shows 15th century Spain, so 15th century Spain, and they're showing kind of Michael Fassbender in all his kind of Assassin's Creed glory, and it shows him as the character Aguilar, which is he's a highly skilled assassin in the 15th century Spain, and then they also show you present day, a more kind of scaled back, this guy almost in a kind of holding cell, and he plays Callum Lynch, who is the modern day descendant of Aguilar, and he's forced to relive the memories of his ancestor. You know what Assassin's Creed game is, so you know where I'm coming from. So that's that's interesting. So we've got like I say, we've got a couple of pictures there. They are saying that a trailer could be coming with the Batman Superman movie, which is March, so we could see our first kind of taste of the Assassin's Creed movie, which hopefully will be like kind of a really good video game movie, or a video game done well at the movies. So it's looking good. Like I say, it's the 15th century Spain shot looks impressive. I kind of looking at the image, and I will stick a link to these in the show notes, but look at the image, I kind of see Michael Fassbender's got all of his digits, so maybe he's not used his little kind of wrist sword thing yet, which is quite interesting. But they are going for full kind of animus. They are going present day, which is this Callum Lynch, and then they've got Aguilar, which is the 15th century Spanish character. So it could be interesting.
Yeah, it could be good. I think like. If they gave him the ancestor Aguilar, if they give him some kind of motivation like vengeance, I think that would fit in quite well. Near the beginning, he's small and his family gets taken away. That kind of thing, and then that sends him on this path. I think that would be pretty cool. But it looks really good. I love sort of swashbuckling kind of films, and there's not many of them anymore. So this could fill that gap.
Absolutely. I mean, if you want a taste for what this film's going to look like, then the director Justin Kurzel, he's just on the Macbeth movie with Fassbender as well. So I'm waiting for that to come on. I missed it at the cinema. It's kind of a hard one to try and get Nicola to go and see. I missed it at the cinema, so I'm waiting for it to come onto iTunes. So because the two of those, both the kind of Fassbender and Kurzel, they work together on Macbeth. So that kind of gives you an idea of his kind of swashbuckling or his big battle sequences.
Oh, cool. That'd be interesting. But yeah, it looks all right, and it could be good. It's funny because they used to base games on films, and these days they base films on games.
Yes.
And in Ratchet and Clank, it's like they based the what is it? It was the film based on the game, based on the film. Some I can't remember, some kind of weird paradox that gets me trapped in my own mind.
Let's say it's the game based on the film, based on the game.
The game,
something like that.
Yeah, that's it. It's the game based on the film, based on the game. That's it. Yeah, I knew I'd get that the wrong way around.
I'm really hoping that Assassin's Creed really does kind of justice to that franchise, and also does it kind of really well, and we start getting these video game movies that are kind of worthy, because video games are such a great medium for storytelling, and then if this is done well, you just know that Hollywood would then, if it makes money and if it's done well, similar with comic book movies, the rest of the studios would jump on it. They'll start snatching up titles. Might get a Halo movie again, which we were supposed to get with Neil Blomkamp. We might get that. We could get a BioShock or something like that. So there could be we could get some really great movies coming our way.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic. It really would. Yeah. I look forward to that. Yeah. It should be really cool.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I was going to say something and I just thought, nah. But yeah, it looks good. I'm just praying that it will be good.
I mean, it's got some great players. It's got Fassbender. He's kind of he's on the top of the game at the moment. Jeremy Irons is in it. Brendan Gleeson, Mad-Eyed Moody, for those who like Harry Potter. A couple of people from Boardwalk Empire. There's some real. I mean, obviously, the cast doesn't make the movie, but it just shows that there are some heavy hitters, some great actors that are putting behind this movie.
Yeah, it certainly helps. And I was going to say, you see, the good thing about a film as a medium, I find, I mean, it's not an exclusive rule, but in the main, you can't really pad out a film. It's like I found, I don't know if you read all the Harry Potters, but I found that I forget the one after Goblet of Fire,
the Half-Blood Prince.
Yes. There was a lot of hype for that book, and when it came out, I was just as hyped as everybody else. I got it, and it was massive, and they just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And I found that book was a chore to get through, where I didn't find it's as if indulgence had kind of taken over a little bit with it. And I found that reams of it I felt personally were unnecessary. And my verdict at the end of it was, this will be better as a film because they can't just talk about a tablecloth for half an hour in a film. Do you know what I mean? That sort of analogy. Yeah. They can't just go on about just vacuous and random stuff, or go into so much detail about stuff and alter the pacing. Well, I suppose they could, but it would be unwise to with the film, because the film needs to keep you interested. And when I watched Half-Blood Prince and the film, all the films, I thought, yeah, this is brilliant, and I actually for once preferred the film to the book. I was like, this is better than the book, because it stripped the unnecessary padding that I found personally was in the book. I mean, other people might think that the book was great, but I didn't. And I think, by the same token, like a game like Assassin's Creed, which, like say Assassin's Creed 1, which really, just stepping through, like eliminating these people. It's sort of they'll strip out that sort of the drudgery part and just inject it with excitement, and it could be really good. Could be really good.
Yes.
So
absolutely. I can't wait to see the trailer. I can't wait to see what it's like, kind of moving, you kind of get a feel from that kind of first trailer just to see kind of, if they've nailed it.
Yeah.
So it'd be quite interesting to just kind of see what it's like. And absolutely. Yeah, but, I could see that if this goes well, we'll have an Assassin's Creed, 2, 3, 4,
yeah.
As many as because they can, we're seeing it in the games. Hopefully there won't be a movie where you only see half of Fassbender's face.
Yeah, well, it's going to be interesting because I hate the story of Assassin's Creed, the games. I don't know what the heck's going on. I abandoned trying to understand it ages ago. I can't be bothered. I think it got so convoluted that I just could not be bothered. I just abandoned it. So when I play one now, I sort of enjoy the story within the game, but the overarching story I just couldn't be bothered with long ago. Let that go. But what they've got here is an opportunity to just give it a great story. Please don't try and make it so convoluted as sort of, the Assassin's Creed games going in all different tangents. I'd just like to see it have a nice, just a good story, simple, not try and be too overarching, not try and go spread in too many directions. Just have a core story there, and I'll be happy. I think it could be really good, and that's what they need. If they nail the story, they only really need a few nods, don't they? They'll have to have him using his wrist blade. We'll have to have some parkour as he runs along. A few assassinations, obviously. And, they've got these little set pieces that will be borrowed from the game, and it could work really well. It could work really well. And seeing that screenshot there, it just looks as if it was made for a film, doesn't it?
It really does. It really does. We've got to have him jumping into a big bale of hay at least once.
Oh, yeah, and the crow going, as he jumps from the highest. Yeah, he's got to, climb, to a ridiculous height. And then just jump down and land in some straw. And then just dust himself off and say, what you on about? I'm fine.
That'll be me, happy as Larry.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I look forward to it.
Superb. And then the last piece of normal news is with you.
Yeah, this is about... I think you mentioned this game last week, that it came out on early access on Xbox. It might have been the week before, I can't remember now. But basically, on the 16th of December, a game called Ark Survival Evolved appeared on early access on Xbox One. Now, one of the best ways to describe this game would be, it's kind of a survival game with dinosaurs, and it's very like DayZ, which is a PC game. I think they're working on a console version of that. But DayZ is pretty massive on PC, and in that's a zombie Holocaust game. It's multiplayer. Mm-hmm. Are you familiar with it, Anthony?
I am indeed. There is a obviously we do have that zombie game on Xbox One that's very similar, isn't it? There is a game that the title of the game just kind of...
I love this. Just getting these...
With permadeath. I mean, it has permadeath as well, which is kind of similar to DayZ. But the kind of answer of getting me out of this corner is yes, I'm familiar with DayZ. And so tell me more about Ark.
Yeah, Dying Light. I think that game might have been
Dying Light.
Yeah.
No, it's not that.
So DayZ is it's a big multiplayer game, and it's got zombies and stuff. And the thing is, it's really harsh, and you kind of have to work together with other players to survive. And it took off in a big way years ago on PC. And this is very similar, but instead of zombies, we've got dinosaurs. So that's sort of the easiest way, really, I thought, to describe it. So it's a really harsh environment. I think you appear in the world with basically nothing, and if you don't find shelter and protection and some way to defend yourself, you're going to get made quick work of pretty swiftly by the dinosaurs of the world. And it's proving to be quite popular. It's been out on PC for a little while, but already, so since 16th of December, which isn't long ago, like 2 weeks really, it's been out on PC since June, but the game's player total on Xbox One's already overtaken the PC.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's really cool. It's really optimistic. So yeah, the player count on Steam is 56,000. So it's equalled that already in 2 weeks, which is great. You know, that's 6 months. It's been out for 6 months on PC. So from what I've read, this game is very, very good, very interesting to play, very enjoyable. It's a good game where you sort of team up with other players because you have to. I quite like that. It's a hardcore game, but I also hear that the menu system at the moment is a real mess, and it's quite a chore to play. But that might be something that you just get used to it. I haven't had a go of it yet, but it's a game that I sort of like the sound of. I mean, when I started to hear about DayZ, it was another one of those things that I almost bought a new PC for that, because I was like, wow. And I installed it on my computer at the time, and my computer wasn't good enough, and I was sort of like umming and ahhing about getting a new PC for it. But something changed my mind. But yeah, but you don't need to get a new PC for this, because it's coming out on Xbox One, and you can play it on early access now. So yeah, I read an article about it a few weeks ago as well, and it said that it was like, really, it just said this is a brilliant game, well worth a look, sort of thing. It's like a dinosaur game. I mean, what's not to like, So I just thought I'd give it a mention. It's obviously getting a good take up from its early access release. So yeah, just one to watch. I think this it could get quite a good community building up on the old Xbox One.
That's fantastic, and it's worthwhile noting that because it is an early access game, that you do get a timed demo as well, don't you? So you get like 10 hours or something like that with the game, so which is really cool to just kind of get in and get a good taste of it.
If I wasn't so backlogged up, I would sort of make the promise that I would investigate and have an adventure in there, but I can't at the moment because I've just got too much on. But it does look good. And I look forward to that coming sort of full release. And I think you get a discount if you buy it early access as well, don't you? Get a bit cheaper.
I think you do, and it's worthwhile noting. I think James is playing it, so we'll have to get him on the podcast and he can school us on Ark, because I think he's been playing it for a bit.
Oh, excellent! That'd be good. Because is he playing it on PC? Because he's a bit of a PC guy, isn't he?
No, he's playing it on Xbox.
Oh, is he? Okay, cool. Oh, that'd be really interesting to hear then. I look forward to that, James. Yeah.
Superb. And then with that news, it's time to go over to our new segment on the podcast, and that is Darren's VR desk. VR desk.
Wow. Okay, so let's hope that bit of music that I interjected there was worthwhile. It'll be interesting to see what that sounds like.
Worth that dramatic pause.
Yeah, new segment. Wow, Darren's VR desk. I can't believe it. I've sort of gone on about. We've talked about VR quite a bit, haven't we? As the podcast's drawn on.
Well, exactly. I think our news section has been kind of peppered with VR, but I think as VR is kind of very much kind of going to be the tech of 2016, I think it's kind of worthwhile that we have our own little segment where we kind of talk about and discuss kind of VR.
I think you're right. And what with this being the last episode for 2015. Out of our first year, it's great to sort of add this segment in and evolve and have a new segment. Isn't it amazing? We're evolving live on air.
Exactly. So as we virtually look forward with our goggles on, we go over to the VR desk. So what's new in the world of VR this week?
Cool. Well, surprisingly enough, we've got this new segment. I couldn't find that much news. I've got a few things to say, and they all come from a brilliant website called vrfocus.com, which I will put some links in the notes, but it's well worth a visit. They have got reams of information about VR, and they're like the best resource that I've found for virtual reality information, and I'm sure they're going to flourish and blossom as VR will in the new year. So yeah, the first thing that I've got is that Shuhei Yoshida has spoken out a little bit about PSVR, and I think he sort of echoes what we've said. It's nice to sort of feel validated a little bit, and he said that basically he's expecting like the killer apps for VR to sort of come out of nowhere. So what he's saying there, he's saying that the killer apps, he feels that the stuff that's going to wow, the stuff that's going to be like that system seller, that VR seller, we don't know what it is yet. And we've said this ourselves, because it's new and because of the all-encompassing immersion that it's going to give us, we can't even imagine some of the things that the developers are going to do with this. So Shuhei says he was speaking in an interview with Fortune magazine, and he said that it's a completely new medium, and the best of VR games will come out of nowhere, just as games on mobile or other new platforms like Facebook emerged. The most successful game companies on these new technology platforms were not established conventional game publishers, but small startups that spent many years focused on making games on this new tech. I expect the same will happen with VR. Hopefully all of the game industry will develop on this new tech, but the most successful titles will be something that we've never thought of in a new IP or a new game that's focused on great experiences using VR tech. So yeah, I think that's really, really inspiring, and I just think it's optimistic for the future with it. And I agree. I absolutely agree that, and agreed. Maybe not so much as agree, but I really hope. I'm hoping that this is going to open up such an amazing new set of genres that we're going to get hit by something new, something as revolutionary as first-person shooter was. But I don't know what that could be. I try and think of it. If we could think of it, we'd be millionaires.
Absolutely. It is one of those things, whenever you kind of talk about that, you do always just because for me, I'm still, and I'm surprising that I'm doing it because I am such a kind of, I love technology, I love new things. My job is about putting new technology into practice, but I just can't help but go back to things like, those walk 'em ups, like Everybody's Gone to Rapture, Gone Home, and I can't, I always think about how great those games are going to be. So I'm definitely in that, where I'm kind of waiting to be hit by this, and I'm sure it's going to elevate things like No Man's Sky. It's going to elevate all of those games, but I just can't wait for it to I can't wait for there to be that jaw-dropping wow moment, when you go, I did not think of this, and that's what I just can't wait for.
Yeah, because what we're doing at the moment, we do a lot of fitting existing experiences and existing games into the new VR, and what we're coming up short with probably is what VR can offer if you look at VR without the history of what we've got already, and then this new thing, and it's I don't know what we're going to get, but it's just going to open so many doors.
It really is. I mean, for me, not only gaming, I'd love to stick on my PlayStation VR headset, with the surround sound downstairs in the movie room, maybe watch a movie, watch Glasses 3D, things like that. I mean, I remember that Sony did a thing called the iSpec, which I almost bought on a trip to New York once, which was you plugged it into a DVD player, and it was like watching a 75-inch screen, 6 foot away from your eyes, and I tried it at the Sony store and loved it, and it was only, Nicola just saying I look stupid, or like Geordie LaForge, that kind of made me stop me buying it. She's like, do you really need that? And of course the tech side of me was, yes, I do, but I'm so glad I didn't buy it. But, I still want the application that had. I wouldn't mind having that, in PlayStation VR. So I was chatting to someone on Twitter just over Christmas, and they were saying that they used their Android VR set, where you plug your phone into kind of VR. They're using that for watching Netflix, and I just thought that's just incredible. You're sitting in bed watching Netflix on this. It's just I want those kind of. It's all about immersion for me, and No Man's Sky. Everyone's Gone to the Rapture. Even to play Forza with this would be incredible.
Yeah, I saw something similar to those goggles you're talking about at ECTS in 2001.
Oh.
And I had a go on them. They were so expensive.
Oh God, absolutely. I mean, it has been around for a while. I mean, I think Sony kept kind of iterating those. They kept trying, and like I say, I went into the Sony store in New York, and they had them there, and they were showing. I think they were showing. I can't remember what they were showing. They were showing some movie, and I just kind of put it on, and I was like, "This is incredible! I want it." It is, and it was actually one of the tech that I did get, not there, but later on was they have one of my 3D TVs, actually my 4K 3D TV downstairs. I have two pairs of glasses that it would enable, say, you and I playing on the PlayStation 3 games like Gran Turismo, games like Wipeout. We both have our glasses on, and you're you're left, I'm right, but we're both seeing full screen images.
Wow.
And that was really cool. And that was just a set of glasses that you could use on the TV. And that worked really well. I tried it a couple of times. But again, because there was nothing backing it, it turned into just a gimmicky thing.
Yeah, but, at least there's always these innovations, isn't there? And hopefully this will become more than a gimmick. I mean, as I said earlier, cautiously, I really hope that this doesn't, and I'm sure it won't. But there is always that chance, But I don't care. We're going to get stuck in anyway. I don't think with these major players behind it, with the money of Facebook behind it, behind Oculus, and with the money of Valve and HTC behind it with Vive, and Sony behind it with PSVR, surely big hitters like this wouldn't be backing a dead horse. There's got to be something in it, hasn't there? It can't fail.
Absolutely. I mean, Shuhei Yoshida, he is a salesman, but he doesn't come across as a salesman. Whenever you've seen interviews with him, he is genuinely excited about PlayStation VR. He's genuinely excited about the stuff that he's played, that he wants to show us. It's like someone giving me a taste of VR. I'd be sitting here exploding, kind of going, I want to tell you. And that's kind of what Shuhei's kind of coming out at the moment. So I just think we're in for something special this year, and I don't think we need to worry. I think it will be special. I think what we do probably need to do is set our expectations correctly and be able to just enjoy what's there, and maybe just give it 6 to 12 months before that absolute killer title comes out.
Yeah, as the technology is embraced and sort of adapted and learned by the developers and sort of welcomed in by the early adopters, but we'll get there.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's I thought we'd give a little list of titles to expect on PSVR, because we talk a lot about the technology, but we don't often talk about the games. And I'm not even interested in the games. I just want the kit. It's weird that it's strange to just bypass the games. So there are some games coming out on it. So what have we got? We've got Gran Turismo Sport, which should be great, for you. In the absence of a Forza game, maybe this will give you that racing fix in VR that you want, and that would be amazing.
And don't forget, there was that interview with Shuhei that I put into the show notes last week that had Drive Club running in the background and in using PlayStation VR. Did you have a quick look at that?
Yeah, I did actually. Yeah, absolutely, and that slipped my mind. Yeah, cool. Yeah, so there's that. Tekken 7. I'm not sure how that's going to lend itself to VR. I don't want to be flailing around, really. So I don't know about that, but. What was that rubbish game that Ubisoft brought out on, was it a Kinect game? That fighting game. It came out, it was a launch title on Xbox One. I'm good at forgetting names of games today. It was awful anyway. Fight Club or something similar. It wasn't Fight Club.
Yes.
Anyway, but less said about that, the better. So
we don't talk about it.
We don't. The first rule of that game is you don't talk about that game. So Tekken 7, odd. I'd love to see how that works. An Until Dawn VR exclusive, Rush of Blood. Yeah. So there's that. We've got Rez and Ace Combat. Of course, we've got 100-Foot Robot Golf.
I can't wait for that game.
And the Modern Zombie Taxi Company. So, yeah, there's a few games there, isn't there, to sort of whet our appetite. I think I would go for, let me think, 100-Foot... I'd want two. I'd probably go for Rez and 100-Foot Robot Golf. That'd be a good combination. But I bet the thrill of Ace Combat is pretty amazing.
Yeah, I think for me, the standout ones for me are would obviously be any driving game that I can get my hands on. Rigs looks like it could be a whole load of fun, especially as a kind of you got someone around. This is what VR does. So I'm kind of Rigs, Rez, and 100-Foot Golf.
Yeah, too cool. It's everything to look forward to. It's as if Rez was made for it. And obviously 100-Foot Robot Golf is made for it. But it's if Rez kind of was made for it all those years ago. So, yeah, it's gonna be fun. It's going to be fun. And the article, there's an article on VR Focus that sort of talks about how PSVR has evolved through 2015. And it gives the specs of it, like the 1080p OLED display, the 120Hz refresh rate. It goes into it a little bit, so it's well worth a read. So I'm gonna add that to the show notes for people to go over to there and have a little read about the strong lineup for PlayStation VR. It's a good read. And the final item for the VR news desk is Palmer Luckey speaking out from Oculus as well. So he's the CEO and creator of Oculus, and he said on Christmas Eve, he spoke out about some concerns with VR, about the cost. So basically, he answered a few questions, and he said that VR will become something everyone wants before it becomes something that everyone can afford. So that was an interesting comment, and I think he's probably right there. So there's I think, you talk to people about VR, there isn't anybody that wouldn't want it. When you describe it, it's just like, wow, that sounds amazing. But reality steps in, and it's like, yeah, well, it's going to be quite expensive depending which route you take. The cheapest route's probably PlayStation 4, but you still need the console and the HMD, so you're probably still going to be looking at the same as a low-end PC or even a mid-range PC. Still probably looking at about £650-700, I imagine, for the cheap way in. If you didn't have the PS4 already. If you've got the PS4 already, you're sort of laughing, aren't you?
You really are. You're kind of halfway to the investment, aren't you?
Yeah, absolutely. It's as if you already sort of put your stake there. And as a gamer, you're probably more invested in getting involved anyway. He also said that future advancements and high volume will make VR available to everyone eventually, but first gen will be mostly early adopters.
Yes, absolutely.
It's like he's talking to us directly.
That's a given, isn't it?
Yeah. Sometimes I think you can replace the word early adopters with mugs, which does my head in a bit. I don't want to be a mug, but I can't help it. Sometimes I feel like a mug as an early adopter. I mean, I bought an Aibo, for goodness sake. I don't know if you remember Aibo, Sony's robot dog.
Oh, right, yes.
It's like ludicrously expensive thing that you get bored with in 5 minutes. So I'm a right sucker, me. But yeah, early adopters. You can get burned, or you can, or it can be amazing, can't you? You can go one or two ways as an early adopter.
Yeah, absolutely. If you think about, my TV, I've got a 4K TV sitting downstairs, and I haven't really, apart from Netflix and Love Film, I'm still waiting for disc-based movies. And I've been waiting for like 2 years that they were supposed to be coming, and hopefully this CES this week, we'll have it. We'll have finally what I wanted. But I've enjoyed those stunning pictures on that TV, and it's a fantastic TV. So it is. You're right. Sometimes you get burned. Sometimes you just get to enjoy the stuff. Whilst it's growing, and if you're interested in gaming, VR, TVs, whatever, it's quite interesting to watch the whole thing. Just evolve, and as long as your kind of whatever you've bought evolves with it, and I think we're luckier now because things are just upgraded via firmware upgrades rather than hardware upgrades. So a lot of the time, the stuff that we're buying does evolve.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a good thing for sure. That's a good thing because it just means we get a bit longer of a lifetime, a longer shelf life out of the things we buy with our hard-earned money. So
indeed,
that's only a good thing. Yeah,
fantastic. And right, so that was all from our inaugural VR News Desk section, and then on to, as it's the end of the year, we thought we would kind of just jot down some of our Game of the Year. So we're going to have the first ever kind of Lost Spark Game of the Year. Now, we decided that we're going to keep the rules nice and simple. We both of us have we've chosen 3 titles, with one being our outright winner for Game of the Year, and we have 2 additional categories. We have an honourable mention for that game that maybe didn't make that 3 but really needs to be talked about or really needs to be celebrated, and also what made the Spark sad. We also have the biggest disappointment of the year. Hopefully it won't be PlayStation VR this time next year. So what we're going to do is we'll flip-flop backwards and forwards between the two of us, Daz. So if you want to go for your first or your kind of number 3, are yours kind of in order, or are they just kind of, these are the top 3 games, but this one is my favourite?
Yeah, they're in order, really. It was very, very difficult, though. It was very difficult because it's been such a good standard this year.
It's been a fantastic year for gaming, hasn't it? It really has, and I agree with you. When I've been looking at the games I've been playing, there's some where I haven't finished them. I'm sorry, Metal Gear Solid. And they're just like, there's been some fantastic games out there. So it has been hard to just kind of whittle them down to kind of 4, really. Yeah, with mine, you could argue the top 3, anyway, you could probably convince me to juggle them. Right.
By just talking to me about them. So it's very hard. It's very hard. In the end, I was just like, I tried my best to be as objective as I could, and I believe this is the true choice, my true feelings of these. But my first one,
right,
Oh, the one, not that I like the least, but number 3 is, I do love it. So it's not that. It's Bloodborne on PS4.
Awesome.
Absolutely fantastic game. Love it. Absolutely brilliant game. I mean, what can I say about Bloodborne? I love that it's rock hard.
Mm-hmm.
I love the stylization. I love the sort of gothic world that they created. I love the fact that they sort of they upped the combat. They upped the pace of the combat a bit more. Took away the shield, made it slightly, if you like, kind of a little bit more arcadey, just a lot more fast paced, and just the sort of amazingly beautiful grotesqueness of the world is just something to behold, and it's kind of bleak but beautiful.
Yes,
and it's a great creation, and the bosses are just something to behold as well. Like truly terrible, hauntingly, disgustingly beautiful boss creation. The design, I think the game design is fantastic as well. The twists and turns, maybe not so much, not as great as maybe some of the previous entries into the series, but certainly, yeah, it was a fantastic game. Great debut on PS4, and for me, another reason why it hits the list is because when Bloodborne came out, I think for me, I'm not sure if it was the only or the first exclusive, but I think it was the first exclusive on PS4. Platform exclusive. To me, it kind of harkened in this generation. It was like, wow, the true PS4 starts here, if you like.
Wow.
To quote a little bit of Demon's Souls and Bloodborne, if it comes in there. I really like Bloodborne. It's a great game. I'm going to play it some more as well. You know, it's really fantastic. I do think, personally, it's a little bit early to be getting Dark Souls 3. I wouldn't mind them waiting. I mean, if it's a great quality game, that's fine, but I just think maybe they've realised that it's really popular and people love it, and I start to get the feeling that they could milk it a bit too much. I would rather they waited and gave everyone a break to just enjoy Bloodborne and its DLC content a little bit longer before getting the next Dark Souls out, because I hate to think of this being just sort of milked a bit too much. It's a shame because it's so great. So yeah, Bloodborne is my number 3.
Fantastic. I mean, you know, I never played Bloodborne. It kind of does look a bit scary for me, but it's definitely one of those games that I've always kind of wanted to either watch you stream or, you know, just maybe kind of have a go via remote play or something like that, via your remote play, just to kind of experience it, because, you know, when you do watch it, when you do look at it, it looks like a fantastic game. You know, it really does look, and you're right, you know, I think my game of the year, bit of a tease, but my game of the year is that, but it's one of the reasons it is that is because, as you said, you know, it ushered in this next generation. Yeah,
and it gets under your skin, you know.
Right.
There's something about it, you know. You stop playing, and you find yourself just thinking about it.
Fantastic.
And that's very much like Demon's Souls and Dark Souls. Yeah, so it's a great game. So what about yourself? What's your number 3?
So my first one, or my number 3, is a game that took me completely by surprise. Is Everybody's Gone to the Rapture. Now, Everyone Gone to the Rapture, that walk 'em up that came out on the PlayStation. I was very excited. I was kind of drawn in by the aesthetic, by those screenshots that we saw. Instantly went dark on it. So that's it. I'm interested in this game. And so downloaded it, played it, I think, in 2 sittings, and absolutely just loved it. Enjoyed it so much that when I was playing the second time and I was getting, or the second sitting, and I was finishing, I could feel I was finishing the story, and I was just surged on to just continue playing that night. And I think it ended up being a bit of a late one. And I just kept going, because I could feel I was getting to the end, and I was getting incredibly excited by this game. And I just absolutely loved it. And I think, you know, it looked incredible. You know, we talked about this way back when in kind of one of our very early podcasts about how amazing this looks. And now, you know, it was just a lovely romp around the English countryside. And I'd never played a game like this before. I hadn't played kind of Gone Home. I hadn't played those other games, those kind of other walkabout games that, you know, now there's a lot more of them. But I hadn't played those at the start of the year. So for me, this was just a completely immersive game. And it's quite interesting because I want to play it again, but the only thing that's stopping me is I'm hoping there's going to be a PlayStation VR patch, and then I would then, you know, play it, strap on my PlayStation VR and play this.
Yeah, it would be perfect for that, wouldn't it? It really would.
It really would, and it's a slow pace kind of walk 'em up. I think it was you who told me how I could not run. I guess kind of just walk a bit faster, power walk. But Everyone's Gone to Rapture is my number 3 mention for this year.
Fantastic. I never finished it because what happened was I was playing it quite happily, and then someone came round and I wanted them to play it. I wanted them to see it, but I didn't want them to play from where I was up to, because it sort of ruined it, and I deleted my save so that they could play it from the beginning.
Right.
And then they played it, and they were a bit wowed, and then I just thought, I started playing it again to try and catch up to where I was, and I just, because it walks so slowly.
Yes.
It's just like, oh man, it's doing my head in. So I've sort of parked that, but I'm hoping if there is a it's ripe for a PSVR patch, this one.
Yes.
Then I'd go in and play it sort of for the first time then in VR. But it's a fine game, that's a great game.
Absolutely,
you won't find any qualms with me on that choice.
Fantastic. And then what's your next one?
Number 2 for me, Witcher 3.
Oh, lovely. See, Witcher didn't make my list because I haven't finished it. So I'm playing it now. So Witcher 3. So why, if we need to ask, why did it make your list?
Well, let me think about this. If I said Bloodborne was about action and pacing and skill, I'd say Witcher 3 took the one for me for the graphics.
Yes.
For breathtaking, blow-away graphics. It might have been my complete game of the year if it wasn't. There's just a few quibbles that it made it not perfect, a few bugs, got stuck a few times and had to reload my saves. The inventory system was a bit screwed up, I found. Controls were a little bit sluggish, especially when you got used to something like Bloodborne. I remember it took me a while to adjust to the pace of Witcher 3 after Bloodborne, because Bloodborne's so sharp, so sort of instant reaction to your character straight away. You're really in control of him, and Geralt's a little bit floaty, which in fairness is probably part of making him more real in the world. So yeah, it was, but for the ambition, for its ambition, for its graphics, for its vistas, it's a beautiful thing. I love it. I think it's an absolutely fantastic game. It got its hooks into me and pulled me through the many hours of adventuring through the land, and yeah, I loved every minute of it. The only thing that I would say is, for me, there could have been more to the end.
Right.
The ending could have been better for me. So I was a bit deflated by that. Again, if the ending would have been what sort of more in line of what my expectation was, it would have probably flown to the top. But for me, this is just personal preference, but I just wanted it to be more sort of like wow sort of thing. I don't know. It didn't leave me as because of the standard of the entire game. I think I had the ending in some kind of impossible ivory tower. It just didn't quite match the rest of the beauty of the game, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
But when you've done it, I'll be really interested to hear what you and Nicola think of that, because I've never really spoke to anybody about that. But it was like not an amazingly bad ending, just a bit anticlimactic for myself. That's all. So, but still absolutely fantastic. It's one of the best games I've played all year. So yeah, Witcher 3 gets a nice second.
So
best.
do you feel that as you were playing? Because at the moment when I'm playing it, I'm on the Blood Baron quest, and that quest is just so grand. It's so exciting. It's just really kind of drawing me in. So was it a case that it just kept kind of ramping up, and then when it actually got to the end, it didn't quite meet that elevation that it's been giving it the entire game? Because
yeah, a little bit like that, and it also peaked too soon,
right?
Because I thought the end of the game was a bit before the end of the game, and I think actually maybe that bit would have been better to end at.
So is it a bit like the Lord of the Rings film, where it finishes and then you've got half an hour of hugging and jumping on a bed and stuff like that?
Kind of, yeah. But
maybe I need to tell you where I am. When I get towards the end, I need to tell you where I am, and I'll just stop it at that point. Director's cut, a Daz cut of Witcher 3, and just finish it there.
Yeah, no, it's worth carrying on, but I just think that it could have been made. They could have tied that bit in better the way it ended. I don't know.
Gotcha.
It was a bit, yeah. So there you go. Yeah. But it's a fantastic game. I absolutely love it.
It's absolutely incredible game. Like I say, I'm so glad that I've gone back, and I'm so glad that I'm playing it, because I'm just really enjoying it. I'm now that I haven't got any kind of major distractions at the moment. I'm really enjoying just losing myself and just enjoying the time in The Witcher. So I think that is a perfect number 2.
Yeah, and the Baron storyline is fantastic. You know, as you dig deeper into that, it's just a really good human tale.
Yes,
you know that it's kind of real, and there's sort of evil on both sides, and you at first you think one thing, but then you sort of uncover the other side of the coin. It makes you think. There's a lot of greys in The Witcher, and it is quite. It's more true to real life. It's not as black and white as a lot of games. You know, it's not instantly good or instantly bad. Sometimes you haven't got a clue what's going to be the best path, and it makes you think.
So will you be jumping back into The Witcher and playing the DLC? Now, I know you don't typically you don't go back into kind of a game once you finish. Typically you don't kind of do the DLC, but we've got the new DLC that's coming, which there was one that gave you kind of just 10 hours, but this one, there's another one that's coming, and when you fire up Witcher, it does say, here's Hearts of Stone, and then we've got Blood and Wine coming soon. Are you compelled to go back in and enjoy, or was it that anticlimactic kind of finish?
Oh no, it didn't ruin it for me.
Right.
It didn't sort of prohibit me from wanting to go back into the world.
So once you've freed your backlog, do you think you might go in and try Blood and Wine?
I'd like to say so, but by the time I've done, Until Dawn, Rise of the Tomb Raider, Bayonetta 2, and Fallout 4, I just have a feeling there's going to be like Mirror's Edge and what have you, and then it's going to be Uncharted. So I don't know if there's a gap. Maybe if 2016, you see, there was a lot of big games in 2015, a lot of games that took a long time to play. So if I've got a gap, I'd be happy to. Yeah, but it's not something that I would drop everything to go back to, because I'm happy with what I've done of it. I'm happy with how I played it. It's a bit too soon yet, but yeah, I'd love to go back. Maybe it'll be 6 months' time, but yeah, I would like to. I'd definitely like to, and I'll put it on again, and I'll just be again amazed at the sheer spectacle.
Yeah,
the ending's not too bad. It was a hard decision to rank it, and it's sort of like, if you had two really great candidates for an interview, and you've really got to start nitpicking.
Yes,
it's that sort of thing, really.
Mm-hmm.
It's still an amazing game. It's fantastic. It's really good. So, but yeah, I'd love to get back involved. Or what I usually do is I just wait for the next one. I wonder if there will be a Witcher 4.
Yes, I was just about to ask you that. Do you hope there's going to be a Witcher 4?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I suppose they're going to get Project Cyberpunk 2077 out of the way, and then maybe they'll be back onto Witcher 4. But they probably need a break. I bet they're sick to death of Witcher at the moment, the guys over at CD Projekt Red. So let them have their rest. And, the community is going to be crying out for it. It's a big selling game. Why not? There's plenty to go there. There's plenty of story left. Yeah, I think there'll be a Witcher 4, and it's just like, where can they go from there?
Yes.
To top that, it's sort of, again, it's kind of like a victim of its own success. If they can top Witcher 3, it's like, crikey, what are we going to be getting out of these next generation, these current generation consoles? Thinking about being as impressed with Witcher 4 as we have been with Witcher 3. It amazes me to think that we could be that staggered. Because it really would be another jump.
Yes, indeed. Or like I say, I'm just at the tip of the iceberg now, and I love this game. It's fantastic. In a way, I wish. Actually, no, I'm not going to finish. I'm going to say, in a way, I wish Arkham Knight hadn't come out when it did, but I don't mean that, because I absolutely love Arkham Knight. So my next one is my number 2 is Tales from the Borderlands. Now, Telltale released Tales from Borderlands episodic. We had 5 episodes from Tales from the Borderlands, and it was just incredible. If you haven't played it, if you're a fan of Borderlands, or if you're a fan of just chuckling, I would play Tales from Borderlands. It's a fantastic point-and-click adventure, and this one, for some reason, I love Borderlands. I'm a big Borderlands fan. It's something that Nicola and I have played together. Borderlands 1, 2, Handsome Jack. We've done all of those, and to have this was just an extra. And I kind of went into it as a Borderlands fan, but didn't realise that I would love it this much, to the point where this is actually my favourite Telltale game. The game has the quality of Telltale, apart from their engine. It has the quality of Telltale. It has the writing of Borderlands. It has the kind of quick wit in-jokes of Borderlands. And it also has some fantastic voice work as well. Some of the best that I've seen on a Telltale game. We've got the real kind of the big hitters for the big hitters in kind of voice acting. We've got Troy Baker, we've got Ashley Johnson, we've got Chris Hardwick, and we've also got Nolan North as well. So they're all in there. All of the big guys are in there, and they all bring fantastic performances throughout the entire five episode run. There wasn't a single episode for me that kind of dipped off or had that kind of lull. It also introduced some new characters. We've got a robot called Gortys, which was voiced by Ashley Johnson, who was Ellie in The Last of Us. And she was just fantastic. They brought this brand new character into the Borderlands lore, and, I want to play a whole game as Gorty. I want an entire Gorty game now. And I just love when you kind of get that sort of stuff. So it was fantastic. It was just such a great game.
Wow. Well, yeah, renowned and regarded to be the best Telltale game as well.
Definitely. I was a big Walking Dead fan before then. We've had Game of Thrones, we've had Minecraft Story Mode. We've had it's had a bit of a run for its money, but Borderlands, Tales from the Borderlands is my favourite Telltale game. Brilliant.
And a game, just by that recommendation alone, one that I should really jump into. But I played Borderlands 1 and completed it a long time ago now. Skipped 2. I haven't played any Borderlands since. So what I need, I can't really remember much of the lore. I can remember Claptrap, but would I need to know the ins and outs to get enjoyment from the game?
Well, the only thing, the game kind of actually, though Tales from the Borderlands happens after the events of Borderlands 2. So, and a lot of the in-jokes are about Handsome Jack. Now, Handsome Jack is a Hyperion, he's the head of Hyperion in Borderlands 2. And so a lot of it is to do with that character. Handsome Jack's in it throughout. So and that you do get characters from Borderlands 2 do make an appearance. So it's great as a standalone. They do kind of fill you in straight away. They do, they kind of catch you up to speed straight away, if you will. But I think you'd probably get more out of it if you played Borderlands 2.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. Maybe I'll get involved. I don't think I'd play Borderlands 2, though. It's too steep a price at this time, because that's going to be another 30 hours, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And then some. It had some great DLC. So what is your game? Your game of 2015, sir, is
Metal Gear Solid 5.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, just because it's sort of like a great package, fantastic visuals. You could argue that they get a bit samey, but it's desert and a jungle. But yeah, I was again, completely amazed by the visuals of this game, and as I played it and got deeper in there, because it took me a bit to adjust to the controls of this as well. It was like the button layout is just so different, and it's not like a standard one like you play any FPS and it's all the same. You really sort of have to learn the different controls on it. I came off Witcher 3 and I was like, I ain't got a clue how to move this guy around. But as I got deeper into it and just started to experiment with the tool set, I just found great fulfilling enjoyment, and it was brilliant. It never got boring. Sneaking around, using traps to deceive the enemy to get to the objective from A to B. The fact that you could use different vehicles was great. I just really, really liked it. I really liked it, and I still do. It's a game that I'm going to play more. It's like the genius of it, I think, is it's as if I'm surprised we weren't given sort of our own construction kit, like a Forge mode for it, because it's as if the way that the game worked, that the AI worked in the game, was just that they put all the work into that, and then you could just have little encampments and place people in strategic positions, and that's a puzzle. It's like, right, you've got all these tools, do it your own way. Right. And it felt so refreshing to do that, and it really did feel like do it your own way. There's so many different ways to outfox or outwit the enemy. And yeah, it is a bit of a bonkers story, but the set pieces are exciting. The spectacle, you got a full blockbuster spectacle in there, and I don't know, there's just something about the deriving that feeling of satisfaction from a sneak well done. It was just fantastic. I loved it.
Yes.
And the little details, in it, they're sort of commonplace, but they just stood out for me there. That the breath, when you can see the breath when it's cold and things like that. And just really it's all about the sort of freedom to tackle an objective in your own way with the tools that you've unlocked. I really loved it. There's things that I don't like the DLC stuff, the forward operating base stuff, but I'd never touched that. It wasn't necessary, so it doesn't tarnish the game. Also, the online component is by all accounts not very good.
Right.
But I bought it for the main game, of which I have enjoyed immensely. I just love it. I love the detail. I love the detail in it. I just think it's the best Metal Gear game I've played, even if people argue it isn't a Metal Gear game. I love it. I really love it. And it's a great swan song for Hideo Kojima to leave on such a high. I think it's a fantastic work. And where I'll go in the future, because Konami are going to carry on with Metal Gear Solid without him, I don't know. If it's a good game, though, I'll probably get involved. I'm not going to say I won't. I'm not going to boycott them. Different with getting Kiefer Sutherland to do the voice as well. That was a bit strange to get used to. But all in all, and I don't care. It's sort of, this game was just fun to play. I didn't care about the story. It's just damn good fun to play.
It was almost like challenges, wasn't it? Like each of those kind of missions,
Yeah.
Each, like I say, it's great to be able to try something. Go, actually, no, that didn't work. I'm gonna replay that one because I haven't finished it, and it's one of those games that I'm desperate to get back into. But when I was playing it, if I got caught, if I got found, then I didn't just try and run, or for most of them, I redid them. I just did a restarted because I wanted to do it stealthy. And I think, and like you say, you do just you can attack each one of those missions differently. You could just play one mission again and again, going completely different each time. So did you actually finish the kind of quote unquote story?
No, I've still got it to do.
Wow.
But yeah, it's just so good. It's just, I don't think any game, certainly this year, has built up the tension for me in such a fantastic way. I spoke about a set piece before when it first came out, and it's still sort of very much in my memory. And basically, set an alarm off, just hit the deck, lying down, trying to camouflage myself in the grass, and you press triangle or yellow. It'll be on Xbox One, and you sort of hold your breath. And he goes like that, and it sort of slows down. Well, it doesn't slow down time, but it sort of like goes all shadowy, as if you're trying to hide, and you hear your heartbeat. And these guys were getting closer and closer, and I really didn't want to set off an alert. And I tell you, right, me and Claire were sat there watching this, and the people were edging closer, and we were just lying there thinking, please, 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 just leave us alone. And they came really close. Reminded me of old Gillied Up, actually, from one of the Call of Duties. And
right.
Then they didn't see me, and they wandered off. And me and Claire, in tandem, just let out a sigh. And we hadn't realised that we'd stopped breathing at that moment. And I was just like, that was just class. And it's full of moments like that.
Yes.
And it's sort of, you create your own moments. You create your own set pieces. And the AI and the engineering of the game adapts to what you're doing to make your own set pieces. You can have some amazing moments in there. You can create your own stories within it. I just love it. I think it's great.
Yes. So is it definitely that's one on your backlog? Do you feel that you need to kind of get a conclusion of that story?
Yeah, it's a gamer's rite of passage. I think it's like Fallout 4. I have to complete it really, and Metal Gear Solid 5 has got to be completed for me to feel true to my hobby really, because I feel its ambition is so grand that it's sort of doing it an injustice not to complete it, and to myself doing myself an injustice not to sort of get through the entire thing. So that's one that is on my list to get back to.
Fantastic. Again, same here. It's one of those ones where again, there's just so much come out, and it is a case of you always kind of get distracted by that new shiny game, but it's definitely one that I want to get back to because everything about it, the look, the control system, the soundtrack, was absolutely fantastic, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely was. I mean, completed Witcher 3, then Metal Gear Solid 5. I can't remember now what distracted me from it, but I put it down for something. I don't know what.
Fallout?
Could it really have been Fallout? Is that all we've had since Metal Gear Solid 5? It might be.
I think you were, like kind of looking back at the kind of the podcasts and stuff, you were definitely kind of very much into Metal Gear Solid, and then Fallout came out, and then I think it might have been, you might have transitioned from Metal Gear to Fallout.
Yeah, and that's it. But the thing with Metal Gear Solid, it's like I'm sort of giving it my accolade as my best game, regardless of the story.
Yes,
it's just the stuff you can do yourself. The story's sort of exciting when it happens and stuff, but I don't know, I don't know what's really going on. But yeah, I just love it. I love the feel of the control of the characters. I love the control scheme. I feel very much in charge of what you can do. I feel that if I make a mistake, it's my fault. It's not the game's fault. And the way the AI responds, I just think is fantastic. It's a great world that's been created. Another open world, another massive game. Yeah. So that's my biggie. What about yourself?
Well, for me, if you've been listening to this podcast this year, no surprise what my kind of number one is. It's Arkham Knight. It's Batman Arkham Knight. It's a game that I've put over 60 hours into this year. It's just a game that has just constantly had me coming back. Where no detriment to any of the other games that I haven't gone back, but Arkham Knight is just one of those ones where I just keep coming back. And and as you said earlier about Bloodborne. For me, when I played Arkham Knight for the first time, I kind of realised we were in next generation, because I knew that this couldn't have been done on the PlayStation 3, it couldn't have been done on the Xbox 360. This was next gen Batman, and I think I have been totally into this game from start to finish. It has its bad points. It has its pitfalls. The tank missions weren't as fun as they could have been. The Riddler trophies were ridiculous. I've only got, I think, about 20 Riddler trophies because I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to go and find all of those Riddler trophies. There's just way too many of them. I've got about 63 achievements. So I haven't even kind of like got all of the achievements in the game, because a lot of them are kind of based around Riddler trophies, etc. So, and I had to YouTube the final end scene, because I got an end scene, and then you had to go back, and then you had to get all the Riddler trophies before you could initiate the Nightfall. So though I had to go back, and I kind of looked at YouTube for that, because I knew I just wasn't going to spend time with that. But that's kind of the negative. The positive is this game is just fantastic. This game is a Batman game through and through. It has fan service up the yin yang. The DLC that I bought, Blind Faith, actually did came good. I'm still playing it now. This game came out, when did it come out? About March, April time, I think, Daz.
Yeah.
And I'm still playing it now in December. I've just finished playing the last piece of DLC. Now, not all of them I haven't played all of them. There's some VR missions that I don't really get into. The driving was a little bit kind of but when I'm playing Arkham Knight, I am totally immersed in this game. It looks fantastic, and I'm Batman. What more can I say? And I wasn't expecting to like Arkham Knight as much as I have, because Batman Arkham Origins, which came out just before, which I know was a different developer, but Arkham Origins I just kind of gave up. Next Generation came out, and I was like, whatever, and I just moved on. I enjoyed what I was playing. It got a bit kind of tricky. I couldn't get past it, and I just went on to the Next Generation. So I was expecting to just finish the story and then just move on with Arkham Knight, but pretty soon after kind of that firing it up, I realised just how good this game was and how amazing this game is. And I haven't enjoyed a game this much for a while, and I just absolutely loved it. It was just fantastic. I was playing with there were some friends from work who were also playing it at the same time, so we're kind of, you had to kind of realise where you were in the story before you could do what you could talk about. But that was great. There was like kind of three of us that were just kind of playing it and talking about the game, which kind of helped as well, kind of even kind of added an extra level of enjoyment. But Arkham Knight, was giddy about in 2015. So Arkham Knight is my game of the year.
Great. It's a beautiful looking game. I didn't play it, but I can appreciate why you love it, mate. I really can.
No, absolutely. And if I had it on disc, I would ship it up to you to say, play this.
And I'd be like, I want to, but I've got no time. I was thinking, because as usual, you paint a great picture with your description there. And I was thinking about it. I was like, yeah. And I've seen it in action. And I was thinking, there's going to be another one. I've had a break. I played City.
Right.
And then I took my little break. I think I might be ready when the next one rolls around. So, yeah, I look forward to that. And I think I'll be jumping on board with you because I did enjoy the first one, and we'll see what happens. But yeah, it's a great choice. It's a fine game.
Absolutely, it looks stunning. The rain, it's sort of constantly raining in Gotham. Gotham's a neon city. There's just puddles shining. It puts Infamous to shame with its kind of neon
that sort of it puts me in my Blade Runner. That sort of atmosphere,
yes.
Sort of neon and dull and rain, or just Batman.
They just had all of the characters, or all of the characters there. They did fantastic service to Batgirl, giving her own kind of story as a DLC, which was fantastic, which is possibly, apart from the Season of Infamy, the Batgirl DLC was my favourite. I'd happily play a Batgirl game, just because she was a fantastic character. She was really had great moves, and kind of called in Robin every now and then, but really handled it herself, and was just fantastic. So, I'd happily have more Batgirl as a spin-off, or even as her own game, I think. So yeah, definitely Arkham Knight Game of the Year. Yeah. That sounds quite good. I quite like saying that. Yeah. Arkham Knight Game of the Year.
Being the massive Batman fan you are as well, that just kept delivering, didn't it? Because you're so into it, and so that's so great a situation. You love Batman, all the lore and stuff, and this game just kept delivering and to such a level of fidelity.
Yes.
What more could you want? I could totally understand that.
Absolutely, and has one of the best songs. I can't say what it was because it would spoil, but it has one of the best songs in it. There is one part where they have this song, and anyone who's played Arkham Knight will be like, yeah, I know the one you mean. This song is fantastic, and it really did get in my brain quite a lot. But anyway, so honourable mention. So this is just an extra kind of tip of the hat, an extra kind of Lost Spark salute to a game that maybe didn't make that list, but just deserves to be there if we had given our top 4. So what is that one for you, sir?
For me, honourable mention goes to Fallout 4.
Enough said.
Yeah, I spent so much time on that game. I've waxed lyrical about it on here for ages since I bought it, which was just after Metal Gear Solid 5. So, there's not much to say. It's a great vacuum of time. Thoroughly enjoyable. The reason it didn't make higher in the list is really, for me, it's just a bit too similar to Fallout 3. So, thoroughly enjoyable game. All these are gold, in my opinion.
Yes.
But yeah, that's my honourable mention. I think Fallout 4 is a fantastic game.
Yeah, absolutely. If you look back to the podcasts where this came out, we were giddy with it. I was in San Francisco when they announced, but I can remember when they announced it, and we couldn't believe it. You and I were chatting on Messenger. We couldn't believe that this was coming. And then when they did the whole E3 reveal, and they said, you're getting it in 6 months, that was just incredible. And the game is, it's up there. It's got quality. It's outside when you're roaming the vistas, it's gorgeous. That game is fantastic. And I'm again, it's kind of a shamed list for me because it's something that I definitely want to get back into.
Yeah, well, the thing is, there's so many games this year, so many quality games, so little time to play them. It's a big undertaking to have played everything. I love the games you mentioned. I haven't had time really. It's just difficult to fit them all in. I quite like that we're different with our choices though, because it gives a broad spectrum, doesn't it? A broader spectrum of fantastic games for people to have a look at if they're not already playing or if they're not already interested in them.
Absolutely. And the kind of my honourable mention was one that kind of took us by surprise. It's a fantastic game, and that is, I was going to sing the theme tune.
Go on.
It's a rare replay. I told people I wouldn't sing again, but no, it's a rare replay. Rare replay gets my honourable mention for 2015. This game, when they announced it at E3 or just before, when they announced that Rare Replay was coming out, this was fantastic. This was all of the iconic games that Rare are giving us over 30 years. 30 games, 30 years. It was just fantastic. It was an amazing package of titles, and it's something that I'm glad I bought it digitally. It's something that I still go back to. I just last week I was talking about going back to Cameo, kind of playing Cameo and just going back. We had some great fun with Manny, James, yourself, and me. We were trying to get to the top of that leaderboard, which you're still third.
Am I?
Yeah, you're still. I checked the other day. You're still third. And it's just things like that. It just really was a great game, and I was up until midnight to watch for the game to unlock so I could play it. It was something that I was very excited about. It had the best theme tune. That was really well sung, yeah. Rare. But for me, it just is. It's a package it's a labour of love. The amount of love and effort that went into this from the Rare team. All of the behind the scenes are fantastic, and they really give that extra level, that extra dimension to these games, and of course any game that has 2 Viva Pinatas in it should really be my game of the year, really.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't believe it isn't.
I know. Can I swap? I'm talking to Manolo. I'm talking myself around, but I just Rare Replay definitely gets an honourable mention for me, and it was quite interesting because today I went back to podcast number 10 or 11 when Rare Replay came out and when I was singing, and you could just hear how excited and how happy we were at playing Rare Replay because it really was a kind of it hit all the right nostalgia points, I think, for both of us.
Yeah, I love that. It sort of demonstrates you in that game. You've got an evolution of gaming, yes. As well as obviously you've got the evolution of Rare, but you've got an evolution, a snapshot of the evolution of gaming as well. I love things like that. We've got a chronicle there to show where it was and how it's developed and where we are now. I really love that.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, with Rare Replay, they put in, the backwards compatibility came in. They fixed the control system for Jet Force Gemini. For some reason, Grabbed by the Ghoulies looks incredible. So there's all of those things. And it just is. It's not just here's 30 ROMs that we're sticking on a disc. Everything from that intro scene to the different stages when you go to the next game, the little milestones that you have, all of that. Was just perfect. The only gripe I ever had about Rare Replay was the fact that I couldn't re-earn new achievements for Viva Pinata, but I'm glad because otherwise the only game I would have played this year would have been Viva Pinata Trouble in Paradise. So in a way, thank you, Rare.
Yeah, but there was a reason for that, wasn't there? Because the more achievements you got, the more stuff it unlocked in the vault, didn't it?
Yes.
So
yes.
There was a reward that you had all that open for you straight away.
Well, exactly. At midnight when I opened it up, it just went pink, 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 pink. You're now, whatever level I was in Rare Replay. And like I say, it's still something. There's still a few behind the scenes that I want to unlock. I'm still trying to get there, and I will get there because there's great games to play in the meantime.
Yeah, I think you're right there where you say Labour of Love. Definitely, it's a great game.
Absolutely, and so. The sad spark mention, the biggest disappointment of 2015. What really kind of annoyed you?
Yeah, there was a couple in contention, and I flip-flopped a little bit, but I fell down on the side of The Order 1886.
Right.
I just thought it was awful. Too short. The control wasn't great. After the hype of what I suppose it's not their fault. They never said it was going to be an amazingly long game or anything, but this was supposed to be, this was the killer app. This was going to be the game that launched 1,000 PlayStation 4s.
Yes.
And I think you've sort of said this and put it quite succinctly in that it's a great starting off piece. But where it sort of gives me the hump there is that it is a great starting off piece. It shouldn't have been a full price game, for the content that was in there. The graphics are breathtaking. But, and graphics can pave over a lot of faults. Me and you are both suckers for that. But there's certain, this went too far, with its shallowness. It's just such a massive disappointment. I can't remember now if it had a day one embargo until it was actually released. I think it might have done.
No, it did.
Yeah,
it did. Yeah, no one was reporting on it until after
sour
it came
taste.
out.
There was rumours before it came out. The previews were, it's as if the previews are never allowed to say something's bad, but you sort of were picking up signs that maybe this isn't the game that we were all expecting it to be, and my oh my did it turn out to be. Just for me, felt like I was wasting my time playing it. Just really did my head in. I mean, it's a great sort of platform to shoot off into what should be the full game, but it's almost like it should have been a Metal Gear Solid 5 Ground Zeroes, you know?
Yes, absolutely. I think you're spot on there. I think that's that's exactly what it should have been. And
if it had been placed there, it would be like, wow, this is amazing, you know. Like PT trailer gets a lot of kudos. That was also, I thought, really good. But obviously that was free, you know. But being a full price game and sort of being hyped up as the system seller that it was hyped up to be, I was just so disappointed in it. And I wanted to love it as well. I really wanted to love it because the graphics were so good. You know, I'm just staring at these locks and things as I'm picking them, and I'm like, oh man, look at the textures. Look at it. Look at the textures and the detail on his cuff. It's amazing. So it was a great graphical showcase, but ultimately, you know, no substance really for me. Could evolve into something great, but oh my goodness me, if they're going to make another one, it's got to be more game in there. You know, we've had the style. We can see you can do the style. Let's keep the style. Let's get some substance.
Yes, I mean, if you remember that E3 trailer where there was it was the last thing that they finished on, wasn't it? And they showed like Victorian England, and it just looked incredible. You know, the expectation for that game before it came out, and you knew there was something wrong when it suddenly, you weren't getting reviews, no one was getting a copy, then there was an embargo on it. You knew there was something wrong, but the expectation after that trailer was just up there, wasn't it? Because it looked fantastic. Yeah. The idea of playing the Order is just amazing. It's just such an incredible one, and I'm with you there. Did you finish it? Did you finish the game?
Yeah.
So, it leaves you there. It leaves you on a cliffhanger. There's going to be, hopefully, there's going to be a second one. But you did just go, okay, fine. Off to game I went and traded it in because there was no replay value in it at all. And I think you hit it spot on there. It should have been a $15.99, $20 downloadable title.
Yeah, an introduction to the world of the Order, and then at the end said, full game coming soon. I'd be so hyped if that was the case.
You imagine if we were going into 2016 knowing that the Order was just round the corner. After that, you would be hyped for that game. Instead, when the Order, 1887 comes out, you might not even bother. You might just not even be worthwhile dipping your toe in.
Yeah, I felt so burnt by it that I'd like to say that I wouldn't, but it did look good, didn't it?
Yes, it did. It looked fantastic.
It's like it was a damn tech demo. They just inflated it into a half-arsed game.
Yes.
So, yeah, it's just a disappointment. It's not the word. I remember sitting playing it, and with a game like that, it should be like, oh, wow, look at this, it's amazing. And I was like saying to Claire, I said, I sort of feel I'm wasting my time, breath, and energy just pushing this guy through the levels. It's like the illusion that the graphics are there to give, the immersion, it was just so shallow, it strips it all away from me. And I was just like, I'm just moving this guy through these corridors to get to the end.
Yes.
And the only reason for doing that is because I complete games. But I'm getting no enjoyment. It's bad.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I don't think I've ever... I was right there with you as well. I don't think I've ever got to the end of a game where I am just finishing it because I'm so close and I might as well just finish it. And I think that's what the Order gave us, wasn't it?
Yeah, truly, sometimes beauty's only skin deep, or just, it really is just a pretty face.
Yes.
Not just a pretty face. No, this is just a pretty face. Nothing underneath.
No substance whatsoever. And then quickly, I guess, don't want to, because we've celebrated games, but my biggest disappointment was Minecraft Story Mode. Was Telltale's Minecraft Story Mode is my biggest disappointment of 2015. I think it's a personal thing for me because I love Telltale, but this hasn't hit any of those notes of Telltale for me. I love the Goonies. Again, on paper, this is fantastic. Minecraft aside, it just sounded like a great story, but unfortunately, it just fell flat. And whether it's because I'm not encompassed in the Minecraft lore, I don't know, but it just did not hit any of those beats for me. I was chatting to my nephew over Christmas. He's up to episode 4, and he's enjoying it. They're enjoying it. But for me, I was hoping that this was gonna, because you already got me on the Telltale and those other things that I was talking about. But I was hoping that it might get me into Minecraft as well. So I was kind of this was going to kind of be my jumping off point into Minecraft. And after the first episode, which is, as I always do with any Telltale game, you play the first episode, and at the end it's like, you can buy the season pass, and most of the time I just buy the season pass. I've done that with all of the other games from Walking Dead onwards, and for this one, didn't do it. Just didn't do it. Didn't feel compelled to hit that buy season pass for Minecraft Story Mode. So for me, it looks great, it looks fantastic. There was a couple of chuckles, but I think I said even on our podcast once when we were playing this, it just didn't do it for me.
Yeah, I'm with you there. The episode 1, I haven't really played more than that either, but I just bought it all because I'm a Minecraft fan. Mm-hmm. But I think I mentioned it at the time, the lack of interactivity, lack of interaction in the game was low, even for a Telltale game. I really did feel like I was just a spectator a lot of the time, and the interactions that it does request are really, basic.
Yeah.
So you don't feel so much as if you're playing it as watching it, do you? And some games I probably don't mind that in, but I was expecting a little bit more. Like you said, they got the universe right, but it's in no way a jumping point for Minecraft because it's nothing like it. And it's a shame, but I suppose it's maybe like your nephews are younger, and that's great. But I thought, I'm a bit of a kid at heart, and it hasn't got me yet. But I've taken your advice now, and I'm waiting until it's complete, and then I'm going to try it again. But I can completely understand your choice there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I really was. It. Like I say, the look is fantastic and it's really great, but it just did not grab me at all. And it's an interesting one. Whether I wait, maybe it's on sale, and then as I might wait to see once you've done all of them, because I've been hearing from various kind of Twitter and various news sites and stuff that the latest episode 4, is a really good one. But I think for me, when I played the very first episode, the pilot episode for this, I was playing Tales from the Borderlands and I was playing Game of Thrones. And it just didn't hold up to either of those. Tales from the Borderlands is my kind of is in my Game of the Year list. So it had big shoes to fill, but it just didn't hit any of those notes that both of those games were really, really filling.
Yeah, you got both ends of the Telltale spectrum there, haven't you?
I did indeed, and and it just shows, it just shows that Telltale are not they're not bulletproof. They can make, in my eyes, one that that does fall down. I'm hoping the next one, be it Batman, the next one's Michonne from Walking Dead. So I'm hoping that's going to be fantastic because she's one of my favourite characters. But after that, we've got the bats. So
yeah, so you'll be all right. That's your 2016 taken care of.
Yeah, there you go. There's my Game of the Year for next year.
Brilliant.
Superb. So that's been real fun. I've really enjoyed that. That's quite nice. So we've got Arkham Knight mine, Metal Gear Solid 2, but I think we've kind of celebrated the awesomeness of games of 2015. If yes, please feel free to send us an email to feedback@gamerslost.spark and let us know what your kind of gaming highs and lows are of 2015. It would be great to hear from you, to hear what your game of the year was, or maybe even what your biggest disappointment was.
Yeah, do you agree with us, or do you think that we've made massive mistakes in what we've picked? And you can feel free to school us, tell us where we went wrong.
Absolutely. And with that, that's about it for this episode. Thank you very much for listening to our very first Game of the Year show. Don't forget, you can keep up with us at gamersoflostspark.com. You can also find us on Facebook, on Twitter, we're at LostSparkPod, and we're also on YouTube and also the PS4 gaming Gamers of Lost Spark community. Darren, where can we find you online?
Yeah, you can get me as Wythermator on PS4, Xbox One and Twitch, Dazagamer on YouTube, and at Daz Whittam on Twitter.
For me, I'm Chessman on Xbox Live, I'm PS-Chessman on the PlayStation Network, and I'm Chessman UK on Twitter. If you have any feedback, please send it to our email address. That email address again is feedback@gamersoflostspark.com. Also, if you're feeling generous, please leave us a review on iTunes. It helps us get noticed and kind of get on that main page. So with that, we'd just like to say, big thanks to everyone who's listened this year. It's been a fantastic kind of first year of the Lost Sparks. We're looking forward to 2016 and the year of VR and everything. So with that, thank you very much, and we'll talk to you again next week.
Yeah, thank you. Bye. Happy New Year, everyone.